Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the USVI Community Business Forum number 5. Yes, there have been 4 before. Coming to you live from the University of the Virgin Islands Great Hall on St. Croix, and virtually on Facebook. We thank you for your participation today. We have a vigorous program today to cover the subject of today's event, which is the cruise ship return, enhancement of the experience for the cruise ship return to St. Croix. And for that, we have a number of speakers who we will introduce as we go through the morning. First, I would like to recognize and thank and appreciate the presence of our governor, Governor Albert Bryan, Jr. And I also want to confirm that, as you should know, this forum is presented not only by the Office of the Governor, but by Royal Caribbean Group and the Department of Tourism. And you'll be hearing from all of those sectors today. As I indicated, this is forum number 5. If you have followed the progress of the community business forums, they were developed in the course of our COVID pandemic as an attempt to be proactive in giving businesses thoughts and ideas and alternatives for what would happen post-pandemic. In this case, we have targeted the specific element of the incredible, much heralded, and very thankful return of cruise ships to St. Croix. In the course of putting forums together, there are 3 principles that we have applied throughout. 1 is sustainability, 2 is adaptability, and 3 is progression of our business community. And that's what we seek to target today. The return that we are heralding today is the return of the Royal Caribbean Group of cruise lines. However, the general principle applies to the return of cruise ships in general to St. Croix, to the St. Croix market. And the premise that we are aware of within the cruise ship industry is that cruise passengers want new destinations and want destinations that have some elements of cultural events and things to do, and a location that the passengers might want to return to, not only in another cruise, but perhaps overnight. So, to lead us off today, I'm going to ask our governor to give introductory remarks. And I can only say that in introducing the Governor Bryan, that this man is incredible. And he has been such a proactive business advocate for the entire Virgin Islands, and this is only one part of that program. Governor?
They got to make it up to my size. You put it up this high, you wouldn't see David. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, David, for that introduction. David is incredible. David is actually my chief legal counsel, but he's appointed himself Economic Development Czar for the government of the Virgin Islands. And that's why he's up here this morning. So many things that he gets. And I like to tell you about David. You know David, I tell everybody this, that David is 70. Exactly. You have way more energy than I do, and I got a lot of energy. So thank you, David, for putting this together and for everything you do for us. So I'm like, you guys don't seem excited. You're not excited? You don't look excited, man. We got 140,000 cruise passengers this year in St. Croix. That ain't exciting? I think, like, finally, St. Croix is turning a corner where we have all these opportunities available to us. And I hear people complain a lot, but when you think about what we've been able to do in the last couple of years, it's incredible. This isn't by accident, you know. You know, when the pandemic hit and everybody told the cruise ships to get scattering and don't come here, and all the mariners and told them don't come there. Remember, some of y'all were cussing me, saying, why are you letting them come here for? Let them take the COVID and take it someplace else. We invested in relationships with people that are paying off today. The things that we're doing are not happenstance, it's strategic. We were able to take advantage of an opportunity and be the only port open in a time of pandemic. The Virgin Islands went from just piddling in the middle to the top in everything. And we will continue to seek and attain these benefits. Coupled with the fact that we did such a good job in Washington that we got so much money to aid in terms of fixing our roads and doing the things in our infrastructure. And when you look at over the last couple of years what has happened, we paved the road all the way down, going down to Rainbow. The Frederickstead bathrooms are brand new. They're about to be opened up. We just have to make them ADA compliant. They're done. There's a new pavilion there. We partnered with the class of 80s. We put up a new I Love St. Croix site. We have brand new basketball courts. Partnered with the community, got a brand new playground. There's $1 million that's already went out to bid to fix everything from the clock tower all the way going down past the fish market to fix all those broken chains and all of the other stuff. All the brown water in Frederickstead is done. We replaced that with underwater pipelining. We paved all of the side streets and all of the connecting. You go down there, it looks beautiful. The last 2 streets about to be paved now. Marley's under repair. We put up $7 million to get a new tender pier put on the pier in Frederickstead so people could now come off the pier and walk. We also put up $600,000 to fix every single light in that park that's going there. The highway, the last 2 pieces are under construction. So if you want to come to Christiansted, you could do that too. In Christiansted, we've paved from all the way from Five Corner into town in Christiansted, and from Christiansted all the way out nearly to Kramer's Park. We sold the hotel on the King Christian. That is about to be redeveloped to add more rooms. Hospital Street, we have a developer there, Peter, that we're supporting, that's providing 2 sides of the street, the infrastructure that we need. The National Park has fixed the front. Our brand new airport lounge, departure lounge, is beautiful. We're taking all of the cargo out of Gallows Bay, so now it's on the other side of the island, so tourists don't have to gauge semis going by while they enjoy the shorefront. We got a brand new ferry marina in Christiansted. The hotel on the Key is about to sign a lease, maybe next week, that will allow for 80 brand new rooms in a new hotel on the Key. Hibiscus is coming up now. That's already been permitted, and they're bringing that back online. There's been purchases of the Green Key Marina and other properties for further development. Freedom City now has free Wi-Fi, along with a lot of other places in the Virgin Islands, because we're going to be the only state in the entire union that has free 5 megabit service in every housing community, every beach, every park, every school, everywhere, for free. We've come a long way, folks, and we continue to do it. We're investing in our sports parks and recreation. Most of our courts have already been repaved. Polly Joseph is coming along and should be done by March. The new soccer field here, we brought in actually a major league soccer team to play here in St. Croix. $2 million have been set aside for the new cricket field. The new gym at the university should be going into design soon. Just the amount of things that are happening all at once. You should get excited, because I'm excited. Actually, I'm exhausted. Because that's just tourism. That's just the stuff going on in tourism and a lot of other stuff that I don't want to talk about, because I think the people who are doing them should talk about them themselves. We have the resources to power you in each and every way, whether it's by giving out $50,000 innovation grants. And I say innovation because we want people to start thinking about how do we convert our business model to what people are expecting in the States. People don't want to go nowhere to get food no more. They want it delivered to them. They want their taxis to come by their phone. This is where we're going. And we have a head start on the whole world. You know why? Because we're so small. And it's so easy for us to make those leaps. I am really excited about what's going on. And I hope you are too. Because there's a rush of things that's going to come at us all at once. And for the first time in the Virgin Islands, I see help wanted signs everywhere. Our police system now has over 200 cameras deployed in the Virgin Islands. We can see you when you blink. The streets are a little safer. We're doing the things that we need to do because we have the resources. And the only thing we lack now is people. People to come and work, and people like you to get excited too and to take part. So I just want to thank one of our really big partners, Royal Caribbean, for everything that they do here in the Virgin Islands for us, and specifically for making St. Croix a piece of this. There's some exciting things that's happening next year. I always thought that Sunset Jazz was a beautiful thing, but what if we could have international acts complement our Sunset Jazz? So together with tourism, we're complementing that, and we're getting a Sunset Jazz series, so you'll have a major international act every month in season in St. Croix for free to try to attract more people to St. Croix. The other thing we're trying to do is festival is coming up, and it's going to be spectacular. We're trying to create the largest calypso competition in the Caribbean, in St. Croix, signature, the Christmas Calypso King. Trying to bring and attract and give St. Croix signature event. I could tell you that Uber is coming. Uber Soca is coming in 2024. We got a lot of other projects. So hold on to your seats and get ready, because we are ready to roll. And, you know, when I talk about these things, people are like, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. Because there's so much that we don't have the opportunity to talk about things individually. But today is about opportunity and tourism. This is our chance to make St. Croix shine. Don't grumble, don't complain. Find solutions, tell us what you need. We don't run taxis, we don't run tours, we don't take people up hiking on bikes, we don't meet them in the restaurants, we don't serve food, we don't cook food. That's what you do. You are the experts. We're here to listen. Let's have a cohesive, progressive conference, and together we'll be stronger than ever. Thank you.
So I bring it back down to the realm of reality here. And I apologize, I forgot to say who I was. And I thank you, Governor, for letting everybody know I am David Bourne, and I'm the Chief Legal Counsel for the Governor. Today is about business opportunities for St. Croix. And I put it in very stark terms. If there is a passenger ship, a cruise liner with 4,000 passengers at the dock, are we simply going to let them stay on the boat? Or are we going to try to get them off the boat every which way possible and have an incredible economic impact to St. Croix? You're going to hear from the team of Royal Caribbean Group, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, with whom we have partnered in multiple other forums previously. We have been very thankful to Royal Caribbean for their total community engagement in St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John over the COVID period and now going forward. Today's team that will lead you through what Royal Caribbean can paint for you in terms of what is coming, what is actually coming to St. Croix, will be Crystal Campbell, the Director of Business Integration, Wendy McDonald, the Assistant Vice President for Government Relations, and Melissa De La Cruz, the Project Manager for Shore Excursions. By the way, just some housekeeping elements. First of all, I'd like to recognize the presence of Senator Kenneth Gittens. Thank you, Senator. And, and Senator Novell Francis. I'm sorry I didn't see you back there in the shadows. Okay. And for bathroom locations, out the front door and to your left, and refreshments and snacks are at the back table in the rear. So, Royal Caribbean, floor is yours. And please remember, there will be 2 question and answer periods in the course of the morning, and we will be receiving questions from the virtual audience as well.
Good morning. Let's go back up, David, okay? There's a special button down here just for David. A very good morning to each and every one of you on this beautiful, beautiful day in St. Croix. It is such a beautiful island, and last time I was here, I got the opportunity to see the entire island. Our friends at the Chamber took me on a 5-hour drive, but it was fantastic. And I just, it's so amazing to be able to work with each of you here. So on behalf of Royal Caribbean, we are honored and grateful to have this opportunity to work with you, the business community, on developing ways that we can reshape and enhance the guest vacation experience. We want to thank the Office of the Governor, the Chamber, and the Department of Tourism for giving us this opportunity today. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Crystal Campbell, Director of Business Integration. So I work closely with the business community to empower them and to ensure the cultural and economic vibrancy is maintained in the destinations that we visit. I'd also like to introduce Janie Halcomb, who unfortunately was not able to make it with us today. She got caught up on some flight issues, but she has worked for some time with St. Croix and has done quite a lot with the governor's office, so I do want to recognize her. And then Melissa De La Cruz, who is our account manager of shore excursions. She helps to develop and maintain our tour programs, and we'll be sharing quite a lot of information with you on how we can support you in being part of that program. And then finally, Wendy McDonald, who is our regional vice president of government relations, and she works very closely with the local governments in our ocean communities to foster long-term relations and partnerships. And at this time, I'd like Wendy to please. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with our largest brand, Royal Caribbean International, but I wanted to take some time this morning to share that we are a family of brands operating under Royal Caribbean Group. So as a cruise company, we were founded in 1968, and our headquarters are located at the Port of Miami in Florida. You may also be aware that we recently had a leadership change. We have a new president and CEO, Jason Liberty, who took over from our longtime president and CEO, Richard Fain, who still remains as chairman of the board. Jason Liberty has been with the Royal Caribbean Group for over 16 years, and he's very familiar with our industry and our destinations. We have 3 leading global brands, Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruises, and the Silversea Cruises. And our company is also 50% owner of a joint venture that operates TUI Cruises and Hapag-Lloyd Cruises in Europe. Our family of brands serves a wide range of vacationers, from multi-generational families looking to reconnect at sea, to those seeking a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list, or working professionals who just want to take a break and get some different scenery, and everything in between. Royal Caribbean Group is known for many firsts at sea, delivering on the guest experience, and this is one of our critical missions, is to ensure that our guests have the best experience when they cruise with us. Royal Caribbean Group consists of a global fleet of 64 ships. From our smallest ship, which is the Celebrity Exploration that sails out of the Galapagos Islands, to the Wonder of the Seas, which is the world's largest cruise ship. In 2021, we carried more than 1.3 million guests, and at any given time, we have approximately 125,000 guests that sail with us. We currently visit more than 1,000 destinations on all 7 continents and work very closely with our destinations to be responsible partners. We have a very diverse workforce of approximately 84,700 employees around the world, and this represents 120 nationalities, many coming from our Caribbean islands. As a destination partner, what do we look for? We look for destinations that are committed to a mutually beneficial relationship. We want to have clear and transparent engagements as much as we possibly can. We also look for destinations that offer a sound infrastructure, robust tour offerings, and in particular, a variety of activities that excite our guests and want them to explore your beautiful island of St. Croix. As a cruise line, we are as vibrant as the seas we sail and the places we visit. Ensuring the survival of the seas and the success of our destinations are our highest responsibility. Our blue-green promise is how we act on this responsibility, and it is our commitment to support sustainable and resilient ocean communities all over the world. Through our blue-green promise, we are protecting the oceans, inspiring future generations, and empowering communities. This slide is a demonstration. These are numbers from 2017, 2018, but we wanted to take the opportunity to share this with you. The USVI has been one of our most valued partners over the years, as the governor pointed out. And the islands continue to work with us to immerse and welcome our cruise guests with the Caribbean's natural beauty and hospitality. So as we see from this slide, of 36 countries, the USVI had the 5th highest direct spend in the cruise industry. And we had an average spend per passenger was the highest across all countries. If you look to the top, you'll see that in 2017, 2018, we brought in 944,000 passengers, which led to a total passenger spend of $156 million. Average passenger spend per person, $165. This led to employee income of about $78 million and employed approximately 3,439 persons in the USVI. These numbers to the top represent the entire USVI. What we're doing this year is we're back cruising, and we estimate that we would have a total of 54,000 passengers to the island of St. Croix by the end of 2022. And our commitment to St. Croix to ensure that we grow together as a destination and a cruise line, we anticipate bringing 123,000 guests in 2023, and we see that would redound to profits of $20 million in passenger spend. So we're going from 25 ship calls in 2019, again demonstrating our commitment to the USVI and to St. Croix. We are increasing that to 45 ship calls, and again, we expect to have a passenger expenditure of $20 million. So very exciting news for St. Croix, and again, the demonstration that Royal Caribbean Group is committed to helping the community and the islands grow. And I will hand over to Crystal to talk to you about the guest experience.
Thank you, Wendy. So how do we get there, and how do we, embrace this economic opportunity that is in front of us? So let's take a look at some of the figures. This is the current guest appeal and guest satisfaction. These are very important data points for us as a cruise line, and all the other lines do look at these similar data points as they're, working with the different destinations that they call to. So if you look on the left, this is the port appeal. So the port appeal is, you know, how the guests feel before they arrive into a destination. You know, are they excited? Is the allure there for them? So clearly, you know, St. Croix does have, you know, high appeal. Because in 8.18, that is very high. It's not too likely you get a 10, you know, out of 10. So 80 is definitely a high port appeal. So where we need to work on and focus, an opportunity for us to partner, is how we get our guest satisfaction ratings up. And the guest satisfaction ratings is what the guest, you know, what their comments are after they've experienced a destination. And as you can see in comparison to some of the other sister islands around, it is quite low. But however, don't look at this number as a negative, because as you'll see on the next slide, you know, St. Croix is doing all the right things. It's just that we just need to do more of the right things, right? So this is not, you know, a negative by any means, but it does show that, you know, we need to change that. So again, why we're here today is to look and to talk together about how we do that and reshape that guest experience. So this slide dictates how the different drivers of the guest experience. So there are 10 different drivers that we look at, and, you know, we do the post surveys to our guests, and that guest experience is based on these 10. So the first one is the cleanliness of the destination. And St. Croix is known to be very clean, very clean. And even my experience when I drove 5 hours the last time around, you know, each end of the island, it is immaculately beautiful. It truly is. And well kept and taken care of by those that live here. Distance from the ship, this is really just how long it takes the guests to get off the ship and into the destination and really start experiencing, you know, the culture and so on. And of course, being here in Frederiksted, you know, the distance is very short. So this is definitely a plus on St. Croix. So friendliness of locals. Now, St. Croix, again, is very well known for the friendliness of everyone that's here. And I see it, you know, every time we come, we can, you know, I think it just exudes from the culture here that everyone is so loving, so friendly, and so willing to help. So this, again, is definitely on the high rating for my guest satisfaction. Hours in port, again, how long do we actually stay in port? Is it long enough to actually experience what there is to experience in the different destination? Safety is a key thing that we do find issues in many ports around the world, but not in St. Croix. St. Croix is looked at as a very safe destination to visit. And then our shore excursion experience. And as Melissa will share later on, we do have a very high shore excursion experience. So our guests are enjoying the things that they are able to do here in St. Croix. So where the focus needs to be is on the last 4 here. And that is port transportation, range of things to see and do, tour variety, and information on port. So it's really, if you look at this, it's really about capacity. It's, you know, do we have enough to, you know, to give that experience to all the guests that come into St. Croix? And that's where we need to enhance. We need to enhance the transportation options so that we can get the guests from Frederiksted to Christiansted, you know, to the easternmost point, to the rainforest, botanical gardens, and so on and so forth. We need to ensure that we can get the guests there. And that's just what's lacking. We don't want our guests, as David said earlier, to stay on the ship or to come off from Frederiksted and feel like they just don't have anywhere to go or do, because that is completely wrong. And again, I've seen it. There is so much here in St. Croix for our guests to experience. So, you know, again, tour variety goes along with the transportation as well, and just, you know, increasing those options. And then lastly is the information on the port, and I'll share a little bit more about that a bit later, but that is something that we are here to partner with when it comes to information on the port, is that we want to educate our guests before they even step off on what there is to do. And we will work with the Chamber and the Governor's Office to create videos and/or content that we can share with our guests so they know exactly what to expect when they come into St. Croix. So let me now allow Melissa to share some information about further on how we reshape the experience for our guests.
Good morning, everyone. So let's talk a little bit about reshaping the guest experience. What are our guests looking for, both from the ShoreX perspective and independent experience? We want you to tell us the story of St. Croix through authentic, immersive experiences that bring the destination to life. Some of the products that our guests are looking for are culinary and food tours. Immerse our guests into the flavors of St. Croix. You guys have such a great taste here, from the rum to the patties to the bush tea. We're looking for tours around that to showcase what the island has to offer from the culinary perspective. Culture tours, home visits, off the beaten path. Bring our guests into a family home and show them what the life is of the families. Adventure tours, sustainable tours, hiking, UTVs are some of the products that we're looking for to fill in the portfolio that we have today. Our current tour program, what does it look like? We have one tour operator that offers 11 tours, from biking, kayaking, sightseeing, and beaches. However, there's so much more that we can offer, and this is where we need you to help us build our portfolio, add more variety, so we can get our guests off the ship and showcase St. Croix and all it has to offer. Now we'll show you one of the videos of a tour that we currently offer today. Next slide, please. On this slide, you'll see our ShoreX ratings. In our current portfolio, as mentioned prior, we have a robust list of tours, about 10, 11 tours. And here you'll see that the tours do score very well, on an average of 95, which is great. So guests are enjoying St. Croix, but we need to build on to that. And we need your help. So looking for more tours and variety to increase guest satisfaction and expand this portfolio to showcase your destinations. Next slide. And here, this is how you can become a tour operator and how to apply to become a tour operator. Do you offer a unique and creative product that aligns with the demand of our guests? Do you have a full support staff, including dispatch, guides, administrative support, quality transportation, a customer service focus team, $2 million in general liability insurance requirement? For transportation over 16 passengers, there's a requirement of $5 million. And watercraft, $2 million per occurrence. I am happy to discuss more of this in detail. My contact details are listed on the slide, and I'd be happy to work with each and every one of you and explore the opportunities of you submitting your programs and becoming a tour operator with us.
Thank you, Melissa. So I hope you can see that. I mean, we are truly dedicated to St. Croix and the growth here. And we have been for some time, and that again continues today and continues on in the future. So we do want to, hear from you, afterwards, so that we can, work together into making that happen. So let me just share some of the takeaways before we close out our part of the session. So what suggestions for reshaping? Really a big one again is that transportation piece. Is how do we get our guests from the pier to Christiansted, to the Botanical Gardens, to that Eastern Point, to all these fantastic, incredible experiences that St. Croix has to offer. And we are here to work, closely with yourselves and the governor's office to see how that we can support the growth of that transportation piece. And activities and tours, as Melissa shared, from a community standpoint, we really want to, create that upbeat local vibe. So one of the things we did discuss with the chamber, and we'll love to work with you on, is making sure that you are aware when the ships are here. Keep an eye on that schedule, and let's create things around those dates that will entice our guests. And again, we can pre-communicate these things to our guests so they are aware that this event or so on is going to happen. Or maybe there's an ambassador that is at the pier helping and guiding the guests to say, okay, hey, well, do you know what's happening today over at the XYZ hotel? They're having, a music event. You can go over here. And, that ambassador can direct the guests to what you as the community have put together, and then again, drive the guests there to your locations, to your shops, to your tours, so that we can, again, really turn out that economic opportunity that is there. But we have to educate the guests to know, what is actually happening there. So again, that upbeat vibe, creating that, St. Croix feel when the ship is in, what is important, and then again, communicating to the guests that it's happening. And then again, as Melissa said, more activities, especially one of the things is on, boat options. Our guests love to do things on the water because, of course, the water in St. Croix is absolutely idyllic, and they want to be on it. So, how do we make that happen? I know there's a lot of snorkeling options. Maybe we need to enhance that. I do hear that there's like 5 great places, around the island to snorkel, and one of them being right there in Frederiksted. That's very close. So, there's the abundance is there. We just need to communicate and work on how we enhance that. So this slide here is, again, how can we as Royal Caribbean Group support that and help you? Number one is that, that guest communication, that education beforehand. And again, we're here, and there's going to be a lot of vignettes that are going to be shown today, and I look forward to seeing them, because maybe this is something that we can work and compile, and that could be the communication that we share with our guests. But I think every one of you should have some input in how that communication goes, so that we all know that St. Croix is being presented in the best manner possible for our guests before they step off the ship. And then training. We do work with some different vendors in different locations to do tour training, tour operator training. Melissa and her team do that very well. So we understand that there's education in many capacities that still needs to happen. And again, we're here to help. We are experts. I myself have been with Royal Caribbean Group for 18 years. And I know that my colleagues here also have a nice long tenure with Royal Caribbean Group. So we know how to assist you and direct you in the right manner. And if we don't, we can find someone who can do that. And then activities and tours and transportation. Again, I said we are committed to support you in these efforts, to work together with the Governor's Office and the Chamber and the Department of Tourism to see how that we can enhance those options for you. So last slide. We have our, I forgot about this one, but so let's work together. And St. Croix truly is that warm, beachy paradise that our guests dream of. Again, that appeal. This is what our guests think of, St. Croix before they come in here, and it truly is that. St. Croix really is exactly this, and I can attest to it. And I know you, as residents here, live it every single day. And so we just need to bring that, to our guests and showcase to that, so that then again we can all take advantage of that, economic opportunity that is before us. So we have our contacts here. So please, you feel free, take a picture and have my email, as well as we have Wendy and Melissa. We are definitely here again to support and to work and partner with you. So please do let us know how we can do that. And again, thank you very much. And I'll turn it back over to David.
Before I let you go, I'll come forward. A couple of points that I would like to particularly point out to people. You said that you are there to assist the local businesses. Very important. Just give a sense of what you're willing to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So,
Not a detail, but just
yeah. So one of the things, I mean, if I give an example, like we have a port shopping program that we do globally. So one of the things that I will, maybe work with the chamber on is getting a list of different, businesses that may want to be a part of that program. There is a small cost that's involved with it because we do all the marketing on board to support you, so that our guests will then come to your shop, your restaurant, once they step off. So I will work closely with the chamber and the governor's office to help support that. And again, last time I was here, I actually walked into many of the stores in Frederiksted and just talked to, the lady or the gentleman behind the counter and the owners. And then that's also the support. If you want to know how you do something better, what type of products sell to our guests when they come off, what type of experience are they looking for, what can I do with my hotel, because of course the guests aren't staying over in my hotel, but is there something that I can do, because we could do a day pass at a hotel, that our guests come to utilize the pool, have some drinks. I mean, again, putting that economic opportunity out there. And again, we talked about the training from a tour operator perspective. If there's more guidance that is needed on that side, I know that it's not, it can be a little bit cumbersome in not understanding what the requirements are, and we can help and share what those requirements are and how our RFP, request for proposal, process happens. And then, of course, Wendy, working closely with the governor and the offices and seeing how things, we can collaborate. And even if there's something, from a financial standpoint that we can work together with to help, boost, the opportunities that are here.
And Melissa, we of course use that dreaded word that everybody hears, tour operator, and they think that it's some big monolith that you can't get through. We've had plenty of discussion with Royal Caribbean about how we can segment that so that smaller tour operators can participate in the big tour operator picture and make sure we get people out that meet the requirements, but in a smaller segment. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Governor. I was just going to say, we are going to have 2 question and answer segments coming up in 2 parts later on. So you ask and we deliver. RCG mentioned about vignettes that might be shown to guests on the cruise ship. So what we're doing, we are scattering a couple of vignettes that we have done that give you a sampling of what we are suggesting can be done to portray St. Croix. And the first vignette is a vignette of Gecko Island Adventures.
My name is Cynthia George. My husband and I moved here in 2018 after Maria. We're originally from a small town near Knoxville, Tennessee. We've been here 5 years. We purchased the business from a previous owner. Gecko's has been in business since 2009. We do ATV tours through the rainforest, so we take 4 machines, up to 8 people, through the rainforest, give them a little bit of history, a little bit of the Crucian culture, and let them see the island kind of from a vantage point that most people don't ever get to see. We wanted a different pace. We wanted a slower pace. My husband and I were both in sales. So we did some reading about St. Croix, came here to see what was available, and we did an ATV tour, and the lady just happened to be selling her business. You know, like everybody else, everything kind of changed during COVID. So before COVID, it would have been our flying customers that knew St. Croix, had been here before, were looking for new things to do. And now that COVID's happened, I think that a lot of the people that live here in St. Croix, whether they're native or whether they're transplants, they were looking for stuff to do when the tourists were gone and everybody was open, looking for things to do. So we're blessed that we have a good mixture of our locals and our transplants and tourists. So we get a little bit of everybody. Yeah, so the tour starts out here in the middle of Frederiksted. We're a block and a half from the Frederiksted Pier. After the safety briefing and after the guides go over how to work the machines, then we take off and we'll go up past some of our most famous beaches. We go up through the rainforest and we will turn onto trails from there. It takes about 1.5 to 2 hours. And then they'll end here at the office again, to where they can walk through town, go right back to the cruise ship. Pretty easy from here, block and a half. So the favorites for the people that have never been to St. Croix are definitely going to be going through the rainforest. Once you get to the edge of the rainforest, it goes from that hot, humid island air, and then that rainforest cool air hits you. So you can turn around and just see everybody start smiling as soon as you hit that line. So getting to see our rainforest, we also take 2 to 3 stops. 2 of them are going to be overlooks, so you get the full vantage point in a 30-second period of time. You're going to see all of the entire island, and it's one of the only places that I know of on the island that you can see everything. When time allows and when their driving ability allows, we also go up to a sugar mill. So we give them a little bit of history on St. Croix sugar cane, how they processed it, when it changed, and then as we drive back down, we actually get to see some sugarcane fields, and we also get to see an old steam sugarcane machine. So we try to add in the fun history, the not so fun history, but the stuff we need to know, and then also all the beauty that St. Croix has to offer. Like I said, we're a block and a half from the cruise ship here, so they can, after they have their breakfast, they can wander straight over to us. We can get them up in the rainforest, they can get back down, and then they still have time to go around to the beaches or into town and shop. So we're also very flexible with our time. With us being a small boutique style business, if the cruise ship comes in super early, we actually shift our times up to where we can get everybody in, or if it's a later port, then we drop ours down. So we're able to be flexible with them because we are a smaller business. I think the biggest thing, we are looking forward to getting more people here that start to see what we've seen for the past 5 years, falling in love with the place, falling in love with the people, the food, even though we've all gained a few pounds. So we're just looking forward to seeing more and more people come in and enjoy their families here and see what a little hidden gem we have.
Back to the live programming. So in the next segment, we're going to present 3 points from government perspective. First, Commissioner Joseph Bisholta of the Department of Tourism, and is Commissioner White here? Okay, so Commissioner, why don't you jump in? Commissioner Bisholta is, of course, in charge of all the dynamics that we are talking about here today, and he's going to lay out for you the picture that we have for the St. Croix program.
This is the coolest thing. Morning, everyone. Again, my name is Joe Bisholta, Commissioner Tourism for the United States Virgin Islands. Thank you all for coming out today. It's a welcoming sign to see this amount of people out in support of where we believe the future of cruise is for the Virgin Islands, and especially for St. Croix. Thank you, Royal Caribbean, for being a partner of the territory for a long, long time. I remember after Hurricanes Irma and Maria, Royal Caribbean stepped up immediately to help bring ships back into the territory after the hurricanes. Much appreciated. Because it's interesting how life works, right? After Irma Maria, cruise was first to return. And then now, after the pandemic and during the pandemic, you know, the land side took the lead, and now cruise is coming back. So we thank you for being here with us and for all you're doing to invest in the territory and our future in tourism on a whole, and especially cruise. We've been doing some things throughout the pandemic to focus on the return of cruise. So we knew that cruise was going to come back. We believed that it was going to come back as robust as ever. And we have been promoting the territory through different industry spaces. And one of them is the Porthole Cruise Magazine. And Porthole is actually going to be on St. Croix within the next 30 days to come and film live on St. Croix about what's happening on St. Croix as a destination, what's new and what's happening. So the timing of this forum is actually very, very good as we promote St. Croix for the upcoming season and seasons ahead. We create all these signals, what could be, right, and potential for the cruise industry on a whole, but especially for us in the Caribbean. It's an integral part of quality of life, quite frankly.
So when we spoke last, the cruise ships were just returning, but now the uptick of cruise arrivals is just probably off the charts.
Yeah, so the ships are coming back. So the calls were the first box you have to check, the calls. Right. Sure. Now what we're seeing is the occupancy on the ships. So the passengers that actually come in on the ships is the second box to get checked. And of course, we like to see many calls and then 100% of the ship being booked. So that was from Sea Trade this year, and if most of you are not familiar, Sea Trade is the biggest event for all of us in the cruise business. That's where everybody comes in from all around the world. All the cruise lines are there, and all the destinations are full speed there. We see the upcoming piece, Cruising into Paradise. So that's how we're marketing the USVI in St. Croix, Cruising into Paradise. As the Royal Caribbean represented, cruise has been very, very good for the territory. Before COVID, it was over $300 million in spend in the territory. The USVI had just regained the top spot in spend in the Caribbean, taking it back from St. Martin. I got to say, taking it back from St. Martin. And we took it back, and then COVID hit. So we're hopeful now that we can continue to regain the momentum of the spend. And one of the things I wanted to focus on a little bit of spend, right? You know, if you grew up in the territory like I did, you know, we were so used to seeing liquor boxes and jewelry bags going as a definition of spend. Spend today is different. It's experiential. So when you see passengers come back to the ship without a bag, the assumption for many is, well, they didn't buy anything on the island, they didn't spend it. That is totally wrong. Everything they do on island is a spend. They walk off the ship, they get in a taxi, it's a spend. They walk out to buy a drink, it's a spend. So we have to understand that where tourism is today with these and that piece, it's much different. And I use the phone especially because people, everything you could find for the most part on island, you could order off of Amazon. And guess what? It could be waiting for you when you go home. So you don't have to buy it and lug it with you unless it's something that has extreme emotional value. So there's always going to be a role for wares on island. But I want people in the room to look at it differently and say, hey, if we have the right experience, people are going to be willing to spend to remember that and cherish that and take it back. So here are just some numbers that I just wanted to put up just as a quick snapshot. And what I want to highlight is today in September of 2022, St. Croix cruise calls have already surpassed all we did in 2021. And as Royal represented, it's going to be double, expected to be double next year what we're going to have this year, and we expect it to be almost 60,000 this year. So very, very strong return. And I think for us to continue to grow the numbers, we have to be comfortable and committed to the investment in the business and patient enough to allow for the numbers to catch up with the investment. So these forums are good because what it does is it shows the hope, and then hopefully you can make the investment and believe that the government, through the Brian Roach administration, Department of Tourism, all of our representatives in the Senate are going to continue to provide the necessary infrastructure pieces to allow for that return to happen. Cruising into the future, we continue to believe that next year, 23, the ships are going to be actually back at capacity quicker than we originally thought. I see the numbers every day when the ships come in, and right now we're probably somewhere between 70 and 80% capacity of ships coming in. Some come in at 95, some come in at 60, but for the most part, we are 70 to 80. If you asked me back in March where I thought we would be, and I would tell you somewhere between 55 and 65, so we're looking better. And as everything continues to evolve with, the restrictions of COVID dropping, now you don't have to be vaccinated to be on many of the ships, so that opens up potential for more travelers to come. So that is another good sign that we're in a good place in terms of industry, and what Royal Caribbean says and our other cruise partners say is actually true, right? It's happening. The ships are coming fuller, the calls are coming in. So that should give some level of confidence that the ship calls are going to be here to support the investment that we hope you make into the cruise space. One of the things that the Department of Tourism is working diligently with our cruise partners and our ports, that's Virgin Islands Port Authority and WICO, West Indian Company Limited and St. Thomas, is to create Insta opportunities throughout the ports and around the islands. And what I mean by that is the opportunity for people to have something that is memorable that they could take a picture of and memorialize their stay in St. Croix. So as the governor mentioned when he spoke on St. Croix and the beach, you have that I Love St. Croix sign. I guarantee you it, when the ships come in, people will migrate to that point to take those pictures because they put them up, they share, they let people know where they are, and as importantly, they go back and have a memory. And hopefully, we all make it in this room a memory where they say, I'm going back to St. Croix for a week. I'm going to take my family, I'm going on vacation, because that's the whole hope. And one of the things that I try to tell people, I worked in the cruise business for a while when I worked at WICO, and one of the things that we have in the island sometimes that divides us, right, is that we sometimes have people that think it's a zero-sum game. Well, if you like cruise, that means you don't like overnight guests, and if you like overnight guests, that means you don't like cruise. That's totally wrong. We like all cruise, and we like all overnight, right, because they add to the economy. And one of the things that the cruise visitor does is 20 to 30%, depending on the line, some more. Their first introduction to the territory is on that cruise, and that helps them make that decision to come back. So we just need to embrace the fact that, they both work well for us, especially as we move into the next iteration of post-COVID and how the correction is happening around the world in terms of how people travel and what they do. Marketing St. Croix for cruisers. So we will continue to push aggressively in the space to market St. Croix for cruisers. We will continue to work with our partners on the island. The Department of Tourism, our Visit USVI site is going to be relaunched, updated, really nice, vibrant. And I encourage all the businesses in the room to reach out to our tourism office to make sure that you're represented. We will have Google Analytics in town again in the fall to have workshops with businesses to get your business represented as best as possible. And I'll give you an example. We brought Google Analytics into the territory last year, and one of the things that is as simple, at least for me it was, because I didn't really know it, was a business. You could have two businesses that sell similar items side by side in a location in Frederiksted. And on Google, if one of the businesses had pictures, their traffic was significantly more than the business that did not have a picture. So what I'm trying to tell people is you can help your business by doing some research and understanding what works in today's world. So what we found out of the pandemic and during the pandemic is TV less of a medium for marketing. People use these, they use their iPads, so they even watch TV streaming on connected devices. So things have changed. So when people research, they go straight to the iPad or the phone, and they look up things, and then they use it. So when people Google it, and then they actually have the data that shows you put pictures up, and your pictures are accurate, your hours of operation are accurate, you do significantly better as a business than somebody who does not. And it doesn't make a difference whether or not your services are better than the business next to you. You just have marketed yourself much better, and you should see higher returns. We continue to work on our tagline, St. Croix, a vibe like no other. You know, that tagline was caught up in COVID because we had just launched in January of 2020. Great trend, and then of course COVID hit. So we relaunched again earlier this year. We're moving. And we added a new little tag that's coming soon. I can't leak it out the bag yet, but it's going to be out in a couple weeks, and I think you're going to like it. And it's coming soon, and it's for the territory on a whole, but we're leading with St. Croix. So the Department of Tourism just did a major activation in Philadelphia with Jay-Z's Rock Nation for the Made in America events this weekend. 100,000 plus people, Bad Bunny, Burna Boy were headliners, and the territory had a major activation. And one of the things that we did to feature St. Croix for the upcoming season is we had a carvertize. So we had a series of Uber and Lyft drivers in Philly for the next 8 weeks will all be wrapped with USVI, St. Croix, a vibe like no other, wraps on the vehicles. So you'll see them driving around Philly. We did that same promotion in New York when we launched our Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, really high impact. And those are the things that we're doing in tourism that are different than some of our competitors. And of course, we see our competitors starting to do now. But we were first. But we continue, thank you. We continue to push the envelope in terms of tourism. And we continue to push our product. So we led many of the features that the governor mentioned throughout COVID. There is a correction happening, and we are out in front trying to do the things we need to do. But our success is heavily dependent on the people in the room. I think one of the things that we lose sight of, and our job in tourism is to bring the people to the territory and make sure that they're okay while they're here in terms of stewardship. But we need everyone in the room, all the business owners, all the taxi drivers, all the excursion workers, to understand that the territory's success is dependent on your commitment to do what's necessary. So I ask everyone in the room to continue to stay committed to tourism because the numbers prove that it is worthwhile. And I'll end my piece, because I know we're short for time, with just one last piece to keep in mind. I tell people that the tourism impact is greater than we see, and I'll give one example. When a ship is in town and the taxi driver that goes out and does a 2-hour tour, and then goes to lunch at a local restaurant where not one tourist would enter. And that business owner would say, well, tourism don't help me. I ain't had no cruise ship passenger in my business. No, tourism does help, because the reason why that taxi driver could go in and eat that day is they have the cash from that tour that day. And that multiplies. And I think that's the message we have to get across to all segments, is the money travels across segments. Even if you don't personally see the 65 and 66-year-old couple walk in and sit down and say, can I have a pina colada? But what you can see is that evening or that afternoon, the taxi driver or the mother who works in the jewelry store or vice versa that go out and they come out and they buy something. That came because the tourism machine is in motion. So always remember that you don't have to see it to believe it, but it's happening. And lastly, please remember, anytime you hear people talking about cruise ship passengers don't spend, let them know you are informed. They spend, the data shows the territory is number one, but they spend differently. They spend differently. So remember that. Thank you again, Joe Bisciotti, Commissioner of Tourism. Thank you all for coming. continue hearing the nice soca music in the background. Because I think that's what's happening online, okay?
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but those things do happen, eh? So the next segment is going to be done, by the way, reason Commissioner White is not here is that he got called to the legislature. So he apologizes for not being able to be here today to give you a recap of what his department is doing to invest in Frederickstead. But I think the governor gave you a pretty good sense of what those investments are, not just in Frederickstead, but in all of St. Croix. Something that we don't necessarily always think about, but we do need to, is that some of our visitors are disabled or handicapped. And so we have prepared a short segment to give you a reminder that in planning your excursion or entry to your business or transportation, that the consideration of the disabled visitor should be one of those items that you plan for. So we have our director or coordinator of the Office of Disabilities, in the Office of the Governor, Julian Henley, Sr., to give us an intro to those thoughts. Julian has been very active in promoting and being a voice for the disabled community throughout the territory, and not just in government, but in private sector as well. And he vociferously promotes greater access for disabled persons to all of our facilities and places and recreation. Julian?
David, and thank you everyone for being here today. It's really a pleasure to listen to all the presenters who have discussed about getting passengers off the ship and doing all these things for passengers, and it really is a segue to exactly what I have to talk about. There are many benefits in your business being barrier-free, especially in these beautiful Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands receive visitors every day, and you know 5 to 10% of those individuals are individuals with some type of disability. Some of them need ADA access, transportation, ramps, just to be able to enjoy in the territory. A percent of persons that comes in on our ships, we don't really see a lot of this, but a large percent of those persons do not leave the ship. And they do not leave the ship because there's not accessible options most times for those individuals to partake in all the activities that their family was going to partake in. So when you're saying no to that guest, you're saying no to their family and friends who was also planning to travel along and enjoy that excursion or luncheon or whatever with them. Now you're sending that person back on the ship because you don't have an option. You know, we think a lot of times, and when we look around the island and you see ramps and you see something that's paint blue, but half right is all wrong. You know, we want you to start feeling that energy of going to the ADA website, which is www.adachecklist.org. And that has a lot of guidance to help you to do things the right way and measure things the right way. Because if that's if whatever you did to make that business accessible is not to code it, it actually is you're actually losing the opportunities to impress persons who might come and visit. You know, avoid legal ramifications. The Department of Justice, you know, persons can file complaints to the Department of Justice, and no matter what size business that you have, if you're a place of public access, that you know, you should accommodate individuals that come to your business to be able to partake. So one of the things that we have put and started, it's already launched, is accessible beaches on St. Croix and St. Thomas. So, you know, now you could actually, when you're booking your beach excursion to go out to Kramer's Park, here you go. You can actually book for your person with a disability to travel along and go to Kramer's Park. So once again, this is a bigger demand for ADA accessible transportation to really step in and really start to do what's needed on St. Croix, because to get to Kramer's Park, the only way that person might be able to do so is in a taxi that accommodates persons with disabilities. So St. Croix is really lacking that business opportunity. It's really something that will make a difference. I'm telling you, in St. Thomas, there are so many accessible vans and other types of vehicles that is transporting people or renting to individuals now, where if you went to St. Thomas with your family, that you could actually rent a vehicle that you could use within your, you know, to take your family wherever you want to go. So, you know, these are great options for you. You know, if you're a taxi association, you should have within your fleet one taxi option, whether you have if you have a way to contract someone, or you have a way to have one within your fleet. But that option must be available for persons who's visiting to the territory. And then we have, you know, rentals of vans and vehicles with hand controls. Tell you, I go through it with my family, because when we go on vacation, I'm always designated as a person who's going to be driving, whether it's hours of driving, because, you know, it's time for the wife to be able to relax and be driven around. So, you know, that option is what makes, you know, once again, that family whole. And we have that opportunity to do so on the island of St. Croix. We have, a lot of times we hear about accessible hotels, but what we have is, what we have with accessible hotels, there's a difference. And one of the difference with hotels are, you know, you have accessible hotel rooms, where that hotel room would now be one with a higher bed, and they have grab bars, and it has a tub, you know, where you can be safe in that room. And then there's a different room, which is a wheelchair accessible room that has spacing throughout the room, a lower bed, and a rolling shower. And be careful the way you book or tell, you know, guests who might be flying in or coming to the territory that you have such. Because if you don't have what they're expecting, then you could have destroyed a vacation to someone who probably might not return to our territory. So knowing the difference really will make a difference for your guests that would be partaking with your hotel. You know, we look at excursions. I heard a lot about excursions today, but there's so many excursions that have opportunities for persons with disabilities. When we think on scuba diving, you know, that is one that really is a great opportunity. I think someone is going to talk about scuba diving today. But when you think an excursion that includes family members to go scuba diving, that's such a great thing. And you look at this fun picture when you see the difference between the person who is diving without fins and the one with fins. And you know which one is the one with a disability. So make your excursion exclusive and be able to capture opportunities for persons with disabilities. And we also have restaurants. And this is one of a big challenge that we have when it comes to access to the restaurant. Sometimes you can't get into the restaurant. But if you do get in, 5% of your tables should be accessible. Meaning if you look at a lot of restaurants, they have this single console under the table that holds the table together. That is not an accessible table. If you look at the table on the right, you'll notice that that table has 4 legs. And you could just have those tables there that will accommodate them. People book and ask for that accommodation, that you have something to make them feel welcome and they can eat and enjoy and partake with their family members just like everyone else. And signage. You know, a lot of times we use guesswork and we know what direction we need to traverse, but that's something that we need to work on the island of St. Croix. And once again, these are business opportunities for you to ask for contracts to be able to put up the nice signage and directional signage that would make a difference. You know, we've been working with the government and other agencies to be more accessible, because we don't realize how many individuals from abroad is tuned into what we're doing today. How much people abroad is tuned in and and a lot of these individuals might be blind or have different disabilities, so they use different devices to be able to partake in conversations. So when you look at your website, you know, a lot of times less is more. Consider it the font size that you use on your website. And you know, sometimes we have a lot of pictures, but those pictures should have an alt text option that a person who's blind can really enjoy that, that restaurant or excursion that you have. And we start working on barrier-free because we realize barrier-free is such a major component to when a person is traveling or going to be coming to the territory. So the we're going to be putting together a web page on tourism website. And this will be able to us first to, you know, create this accessible option for persons who wants to visit or partake. You know, so what we want to feature is beaches, taxis, excursions, transportation, hotels, and restaurants. So we want to take away the guesswork. So you don't want to call someone and say, hey, is this restaurant accessible? If it's on that web page, it is accessible because we're going to write that it will be meeting all the criteria that will be able to help you to enjoy that visit. And, you know, this opportunity is for small businesses to really take advantage of this expansion of services. Having this webpage in place is going to be a game changer on the island of St. Croix. I'm telling you, there's so many options that you have. And now that you're going to have more ships, please take advantage of this opportunity, because those are the individuals that will become lifers back into the territory. So thank you for joining us today, and I'm hoping that you have learned something about what we need to invite more tourists to our territory, and even for our locals to be able to partake and enjoy these beautiful Virgin Islands. Thank you, and have a great day.
Okay, so we're going to quick 5-minute break to stretch and do what you want to do. Please return in 5 minutes for the continuation, which will include the first of the 2 question and answer sessions.
Welcome to the most beautiful island in the world, the Virgin Islands. Yeah, man. Mind check, my love. Una duas. How are the VI massive them there? If you from the VI, when you there, put your hands up high. Represent your home. If you from the VI, when you there, put your flags them up high. VI to the ball. The party don't start until we reach. No, we don't bring no sand to the beach. All we need to hear is a beat. So we could get on bad in the streets. Whoa! That's everywhere where we go. The party just turn up. Party from night till the sun up. We just drink, we rum. Find a woman, then walk up on the gal and stomach. Everywhere where we go, the party must nice. No, we don't hot up, we head don't price. We don't spend the money, cause we come out to party and live we life. If you from the VI, when you there, put your hands up high. Represent your home. If you from the VI, when you there, put your flags them up high. VI to the ball. No other place in the world to party like we. We don't smash up the fete, turn up the party. Are we who bring the vibes? Are we who bring energy? VI must put your hand in the air. Let me see you when you there. Everywhere where we go, the party just turn up. Party from night till the sun up. We just drink, we rum. Find a woman, then walk up on the gal and stomach. Everywhere where we go, the party must nice. We don't hot up the air, no price. We just spend the money, come out to party and live we life. If you from the VI, when you there, put your hands up high. Represent your home. If you from the VI, when you there, put your flags them up high. VI to the ball. If you represent this in John, let me see you just put up your hands, let me see you. If you represent this in Croix, let me see you just put up your rags, let me see you. If you represent this in Thomas, I wanna see you put up your flags, let me see you. BVI massive, how with the VI massive then there? If you from the VI, when you there, put your hands up high. Represent your home. If you from the VI, when you there, put your flags them up high. VI to the ball.
Deepak? Okay, we're going to start the next section in a little different way. First, we're going to have an intro statement from Deepak Bansal of the St. Croix Chamber of Commerce, and then we're going to throw it out to you, the business people, for a couple of explanatory explanations and questions, and we'll explain how it will work after Deepak introduces his point.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's very exciting to see so many folks out here today. Well, good morning, Governor Bryan, fellow speakers, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines representatives. My name is Deepak Bansal. I am a local CPA in public practice, and I'm happy to represent the St. Croix Chamber of Commerce, where I have been a long-time board member and officer. The Chamber is very excited upon cruises returning. We applaud the work of the governor to ensure the return in a big way. 45 calls and $20 million, I think I heard, of revenue being generated. That's wow. That's incredible. It's exciting. We are here today at this very informative forum to see how we could assist and partner to make St. Croix a more desirable cruise destination. We recognize the benefits, obviously, of this direct economic $20 million and the consequent tax implications also to a boost to our government. But we also recognize that a happy cruise passengers will more than likely come back, as been mentioned many times, and spur even more economic activity. So we encourage our government to continue to allocate resources on improving the cruise passengers' experience. So with that, David, want to ask any questions?
Yeah. So Deepak and I will sort of co-moderate this, and we like to do it this way. We're going to take a limited number of questioners, but we want you, when you stand, to identify yourself and your business or your proposed business. Don't have to tell us too much detail about that. But then pose the point as to how your business or proposed business would help to enhance the cruise ship tourism product. Okay, and then you have a specific question, then pose that question and to whom the question should go. Sir.
All right. Good morning, beautiful people. My name is Aaron Hutchins. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am the co-owner and founder of Island Life Adventures, which has been doing the bike tours since 2008, and a predecessor, a friend of mine, ran them in the 90s. I also am the founder and co-owner of Leatherback Brewing Company, which obviously has a big component with how we enjoy our guest experiences. The one barrier that I think is important to bring to your attention, and I just had an opportunity to speak with the Royal Caribbean folks, the inaccessible liability insurance for tour operators. Anything remotely adventurous cannot be insured through local insurance companies. To insure my very, very basic bicycle tours, we have 17 no responses from local insurance companies before we had to find one only accessible because we have a contract with cruise ships out of Florida that would insure us as a tour provider. And this applies not just for bicycles, but anything remotely adventurous. So this is a very dry subject matter, but it is a bottleneck, and that's the tort law. It needs reforming. Jury awards are too high, court cases are too long, the insurance companies will not write you a policy and underwrite it. They cannot get it underwritten. So it's a dry issue, but it's a real issue that affects experiential tourism and its possible progressive growth in the Virgin Islands. The second thing I think I would like to make is I hope we can identify a point of contact in the administration to have very specific suggestions made about Frederiksted area itself. I know we have our St. Croix administrator who is very accessible, but I think there's very pointed, specific things that would be helpful if we had a point of contact about the Frederiksted and specifically about the guest experiences beyond the residential issues, but just the guest experiences and suggestions that we can make as a community going forward. So
Josie Urgent is specifically assigned to Frederiksted out of the Office of Governor to represent SANIS down there. She's not here today. I could introduce you to her, as well as Elizabeth Wati, who is the Assistant Commissioner of Tourism, is in Frederiksted as well, too, as two just top of mind contacts that I think that could be easily representation for the administration in Frederiksted.
thank you, Governor. I hope we can share that contact specifically. I was just asked to form my statement in the form of a question to Royal Caribbean and how you can help. I think as we talked a minute ago during the break, trying to identify ways to get around some of these bottlenecks of requirements related to insurance. I think your $2 million liability requirement is very reasonable. It is just unavailable to many tour ideas in the Virgin Islands. I've seen so many fail to materialize because they get to the point of getting the insurance to not be able to get it. So my question would be, how can we work to surpass that here in the Virgin Islands?
Hi, yeah, sure. So we did just have that conversation. For Royal Caribbean Group, we do have a minimum requirement of $2 million. It goes between 2 to 5 million depending on the tour. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do with regard to making that requirement any less. However, in our conversation, we've recognized that it's something that we have to work with the government of the USVI. Apparently, there are some laws on the books that may need to be discussed with regard to how the tour operators can, be supported to get the type of insurance that's required. So we will, commit. It's my responsibility for Royal Caribbean Group to work with our governments to see how we can support our destinations and support all of you, our tour operators. So our commitment is to have those discussions with the government, and hopefully we can come to a workable solution for everyone.
Thank you, Wendy. And I think you will find that that is signature for Royal Caribbean, is that they're willing to work with us and try to find solutions. Thank you. Deepak, you want to grab some of that?
Yeah. Yeah, could you get a mic over there?
Good morning. My name is Mighty Pat. I'm actually a taxi driver, St.Croix. And my question will be that the pandemic is over right now, a little better, and the docks, now they have thrown all the taxi drivers off of the docks. So we are trying to figure out, since Royal Caribbean have the insurance, that they could be on the docks if Port Authority is going to allow them back on the docks, that we won't be putting and boxing with each other on the outside of the docks. That's a very important thing that we shouldn't be living that kind of way. Because actually, Royal Caribbean have the $1 million insurance to be under that docks. And since we're on the outside and everything is finished, we think that Royal Caribbean people that is working for them should be back on the docks, and if they could make that possible. That's my question for today.
Okay. Do you have to be on the dock itself or close proximity?
When I say on the docks, not up where the ship is, but down in the area which was actually laid out for taxi drivers and passengers, where they do dispatching. So we could have Royal Caribbean here and the other taxi driver them on the outside. Instead of everybody in one spot and you don't know who is who, this person asking the question, the person asking the question, somebody had to direct the person to the other person.
Okay.
So
let's see if we can get you an answer. Okay. Commissioner Bushalter? Oh, okay.
Morning. I'm
Chairman John.
Willard John, Chairman of the Board of Governors for the Port Authority. There is also an insurance requirement to be on the dock proper. So we have to work around those requirements in order to allow you to come back. And also, to do it as an individual will not work because of the cost. You would have to unite, and then as an umbrella, you can get the insurance and make it more affordable for the individuals.
Okay, thank you. Next?
Yeah, over there.
Over here. Okay. Sir?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Manuel, a.k.a. Manny Elijah. And I have great news for you here today for St. Croix. I'm in the process of bringing Victoria's Secret Bath & Body Works Product Center to St. Croix to be housed in the old Frederiksted Mall out on the waterfront. Also, I'd like to add, while we're all here, is after looking at the Frederiksted area, I was wondering if there's any programs that can be developed to offer to the property owners in Frederiksted to clean up some of the blight that's in the area. And it could be in the form of a couple of things. It could be whether you provide a grant, maybe a small amount, just enough to clean up the blight, or you do what's called a non-deferred program where you loan the money and the money is not due back until whoever owns the property sells the property or changes the title. That way you keep the money flowing, so for other businesses. But anyway, I just wanted to announce that I am bringing Victoria's Secret Bath and Body Works Product Center to St. Croix. And the name of the store is going to be LaToya's, which is my daughter. It's going to be her name, LaToya's Victoria's Secret Bath and Body Works Product Center. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. My name is Marjorie Floresville.
Just a minute, please, Governor. Why don't you come up here?
You know I don't like being on stage, right? So the short answer to the question is yes. We can provide cleanup money in the form of grants and deferred loans for all our downtown areas. We really have an aggressive downtown plan for the next term. The problem with the downtown area, though, isn't the people who have their properties are doing a pretty good job of keeping them. It's all the probate properties that don't really have an owner, that are delinquent in taxes, that are falling apart and only getting worse hurricane after hurricane. That's the real problem there. So we spent a lot of money doing the streets and stuff in Frederickstead, and all the bright streets did was made the derelict properties look worse. It kind of like highlighted them. So, I mean, we're fully, you know, it's coming to a point now where we have to do something. Not only in Frederickstead, it's in Christiansted, it's in downtown, Garden Street, Savon, Charlotte Mali. Even Main Street now is becoming abandoned properties in St. Thomas. So we have to do something as a community. And, you know, it's not going to be popular, but we have to figure out a way that the community can support, a way that the government can help develop these properties while still allowing these families to retain ownership. But for a little while, we're going to have to trust that we as a community, I shouldn't say the government, we have a community going to have to take those properties, develop them, and then when these probate cases are solved, we turn them back over to the properties, to the families that they belong to, because we don't want to disempower or devalue anybody's family estate. So it's a very touchy subject, but short answer is yes. We have a lot of programs running in the government. I was explaining this to Education Feds the other day. You know, we're a small government. I have less employees now than we had in 2007 when Governor John DeYoung took office. Every time we create a new program, we have to find people to administer the program. That's why it takes so long to get out premium pay, to get out the stimulus checks. We don't have the liberty of just handing it to the county or the city to do it. We actually have to create the new rental program. So every time I tell you I got a new program for something, that's people we got to find now to do that and distribute those checks. And the community goes crazy in the meanwhile with impatience. So we do have programs that we want to administer. The problem is we're having a serious capacity issues in terms of who gets that. I just read the 400 people that won on the innovation grant now. Now the EDA have to process each one of those 400 checks. That's going to be a process to get done too, and people are going to call my office complaining about it. So FEDA, Downtown Christiansted, Association, whoever you are, you know, if you guys show up, work with the Community Foundation to be fiduciaries. We need partners to help get money out. We can't all do it ourselves. The government give up on that. We got 4 disasters we're working on actively: Sargassum, COVID, Irma, and Maria. So community partners get together and create the kind of systems where we could give you the money and then you could give it out. And make sure, because it's not just about giving money. The federal government wants to see every invoice receipt for what you said you were going to do with that cash. That's a lot of work, trust me. So we just need to see you participate in it. But great suggestion, Manny. Thank you.
And I would add to what the governor said, is that there's actually legislation in process to do a program very similar to what you have suggested it will be very much along that line of a revolving fund. Anybody else? Quick question?
I'd love that. Good morning. My name is Marjorie Florestal, and I'm a visitor here. I am an international trade law lawyer and scholar affiliated with UC Davis, and I'll be here for the next 6 months. And my question was actually to the Royal Caribbean Group. As we increase tourism, which is fantastic, we also recognize its impact on the environment. And you referenced several sustainability projects. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about how you're partnering with the government in order to protect the environment that is such a great draw for tourists around the world.
I think that was the last question. Yeah. Okay. Did you want to say anything around it?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, as Wendy had shared earlier on our presentation, we have the Blue-Green Promise, which is dedicated to inspiring and empowering and maintaining, working with our communities to address sustainability, environmental concerns. And it's not just working with the government per se, it's really working with the entire community. So if you kind of look across the different destinations, there's different projects that we do within those destinations. They can run from anything from funding different environmental projects. It could be community-specific projects that are maybe looking at certain schools that don't have the funding and abilities to offer the students of that particular community the education that they need. We do a lot of funding on that standpoint. And then we also, as from my side, we work with the business communities to do a lot of fundings with the entrepreneurs and creating incubator programs, very much like St. Croix government is doing. But yeah, so our Blue-Green Promise, we are very much dedicated to that environmental and sustainability aspects, and everything that we do, from when we look at a terminal or port, any type of development, we have a very extensive process that we go through to ensure that it is environmentally and sustainability sustainable, and that way, it's at every layer. And actually later in this year, we will be launching further details on the Blue-Green Promise that will actually have our ESG framework. So there's a lot more that I wish I could share, but it is something that's from a corporate standpoint we are launching, and it will be a pretty large communication to share out what the Royal Caribbean Group is doing from that standpoint.
Thank you. We're going to come back to you in the next round of Q&A, okay? Deepa?
Just want to mention St. Croix Chamber of Commerce is here to help. You might consider joining as a member. We are advocates of the business community. We're on the internet. And again, we're here to help in any way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to the Chamber. Okay, in segueing to giving you some entrepreneurial advice, we're going to have a quick vignette. This is on diving experiences.
And I'm the owner, along with my wife Molly, of St. Croix Ultimate Blue Water Adventures and Molly's Tropical Boutique and Molly's Man Cave here on St. Croix. Both of us were working for the airlines originally. What brought us here was to Eastern Airlines, Commuter, Eastern Express. Eastern, of course, went out of business. Molly and I had decided that we love the island too much to consider leaving, and so we decided to stay. I had a background in scuba diving. Molly was actually my first student. When I was just doing this as just a fun thing to do on the weekends. And Molly had a retail background, so we decided to go into scuba diving, and we opened our scuba shop almost 25 years ago. It'll be 25 years ago next summer. We started with just a small shop in a regional space, which is where we still are in Christiansted, where the dive shop is. We bought a boat 6 months later. We bought some gear a little bit after that, and so we just kind of slowly evolved. 3 years later, we took over the bay that was next door to us, and so we expanded to double the size of the shop. 3 years later, we added another bay and more than doubled it again. Now we've moved back to the original shop and opened up a much larger boutique next door. It's Molly's Tropical Boutique. And then just in the past year, we split the menswear out of Molly's Boutique and moved it to yet another bay in Caramel Arcade, and became Molly's Man Cave. So we got women's wear at Molly's Tropical Boutique and men's wear at Molly's Man Cave, and then the scuba shops by itself. And then here at Frederickstead, all three of those shops are all in one where we are standing here now. The town of Frederickstead is one of the most laid-back, cool, vibe towns that you could imagine. I lived here for several years when I first moved to the island, and this is just, I mean, it's just a sleepy little Caribbean town. Everybody's so friendly, everybody knows each other out here. The vibe is just amazing. It's just a cool place. St. Croix is probably very underknown for scuba diving, and it really shouldn't be. It is the only place in the Caribbean that you can dive a wreck, a reef, a wall, and a pier, and also be under the U.S. flag, which is kind of important because you get Coast Guard inspected boats, Coast Guard captains driving them, and of course being in the U.S., no passport needed, same electricity, same currency, same language, all that stuff. And so the diving's out of this world, especially the wall diving. That's really what sets us apart. St. Thomas and St. John have great diving, but they're volcanic in nature, and so they were formed volcanically, and they have kind of flat continental shelf diving. We were formed tectonically. It was movement of the platelets of the earth kind of shoved St. Croix up out of the water, and we sit on top of a 13,200 foot deep wall, so over 2 miles deep, and it starts in some cases 100 yards from shore. You can do it actually as a shore dive. You can swim out and actually see the wall. It runs all along the North Shore. That's one of the things that really sets us apart from a lot of other dive places. But in addition to that wall, it's topped by the largest living reef of any of the Caribbean islands. We have the second longest barrier reef in the Caribbean. That's Long Reef, that is the barrier reef that protects Christiansted Harbor. We have wreck dives here in Frederickstead. There's 5 wrecks within about 100 yards of each other in Frederickstead, where you can dive 2 to 3 wrecks on a single scuba dive, which is pretty special. And then the pier, Frederickstead Pier across the street here is, in my opinion, one of the top 10 dive sites on the planet. Absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, we can't dive it when a cruise ship's in because of homeland security issues, so we can't dive it in. But any other time, it's a wonderful dive. So Wall Reef Wreck Pier is one of the only places you can do that. In the right times of the year, we have humpback whales that are coming through. We've had a lot of dolphins this year. Pods of dolphins that tend to hang around. They like to play around and come check on the divers, see what they're doing. We almost always have sharks hanging around somewhere because there are a lot of active lionfish hunting that goes on here. So the sharks are around waiting for somebody to shoot a lionfish so they get a free meal out of it. Don't ask me how they can eat those spines. I don't know, but they do and they like them. So we do see quite a few sharks. There's lots of rays, southern stingrays, eagle rays, even manta ray occasionally that we see. So that's some of the bigger stuff, big eagles, things like that. And then the little stuff, with Frederickstead Pier, for example, some of the macro photography, the little bitty things like seahorses, catfish, frogfish, those are all very rare, and they're regularly seen under the pier. We have a full range of scuba diving services for cruise ship passengers, between having a boat that could leave right off of the cruise ship pier, so you're literally 200 yards from our dive boat when you disembark from the ship. Then we also have a dive boat that dives to North Shore, at least in Christiansted. That's about a 45-minute to an hour ride from here in a taxi van or in a car or one of the shuttles or something like that. So out on this end of the island, people can dive the wrecks and the reefs on this end. Unfortunately, not the pier, wrecks and the reefs. And over on the North Shore, that's where we do the walls and the reefs. And that boat goes out a little bit later on cruise ship days to give people plenty of time to make it to us. And then they're back with plenty of time to have lunch and come shopping in the afternoon, maybe at the store here or any of our stores in Christiansted. In the next year, we're looking forward to hosting more and more people to the world-class scuba diving that's here right on St. Croix, here under the U.S. flag. The more the merrier we'd like to see. We're doing a lot more scuba diving trade shows around and try to bring people to St. Croix. We'd love to show them the world-class diving here. A lot of people don't know that that's the case, and we hear that a lot. People come in and say, I never knew there was that much scuba diving on St. Croix. This is really amazing. It's so good. And they just haven't heard about it. Other places with much bigger tourism budgets like Cayman Islands and Mexico and Grenada and places like that, they get the bulk of the diving because people just don't know about it. So we just have to spread the word, like right now.
So we now go to giving you some tools. And the chair of the Yes, Governor?
And I'm not sure it's working. Can you hear me? There we go, like magic. I just want to bring to anybody here from the zip line. That's good that we get that going. It's that new stuff for St. Croix. I get goosebumps when I see the scuba diving. I'm going out next week with DPNR, so I'm excited about that. Love underwater Virgin Islands. But, we got some unique traits here in St. Croix that's one of them. I think that's very important. The other one that we have are the golf courses. Cruise passengers golf as well too. We need to start to multiply our business on this island, on all islands, where you in your business advertise other people's businesses that complements you. So we magnify everything. The golf course is in, I don't know if you know, but I think they were supposed to sell this week. They were supposed to close, and they're going to try to turn that into an actual amateur tournament course. So we're going to actually have, I've been to one with a partner that's getting involved with it. Hundreds of people come to these things, really good business, and they spend a lot of money. So we need to support the golf course and make sure that we get Carambola back to where it needs to be. So I just wanted to put in a little note like that. Remember, St. Thomas doesn't have a golf course, and St. John definitely doesn't have one. We have 3 here in St. Croix, the Reef, Buck, and this one here. So whatever you can do to help support the golf course and moving toward that, we want to make sure that that's a big part. Fishing is another thing where any fishing, see that? We need more fishing excursion, personally because I like to go fishing. And I always go in St. Thomas because we don't have that many here, and they're always booked. It's like you can't get on, so we need to do some. We get excellent fishing in St. Croix, but we don't have anybody to take you fishing. Well, except this. Represent yourself. You a fishing charter as well? Okay, that's great. EDA got fishing, farmer and fisherman loans that they give out, $50,000. We're trying to expand that to $100,000 to help people get into agriculture. Yes, fishing. Agriculture is a huge tourist piece as well too. We did a lot in supporting the agribusiness aquaponics center here in St. Croix, right here for Farmers in Action. We're applying now for another $10 million grant to get that up and get people, because people want to see this stuff. I mean, I know we think it's boring, but to tourists it's really exciting to go see some of this. What's the name of your charter, sir?
My name's Randy Brewington. I'm with Down South Charters.
Okay.
Just got up and operational. Good morning. My name is Captain Randy Brewington. I'm with Down South Charters. We just got up and operational about 3 months ago, but I do fishing charters, snorkeling, private sunsets, crossings over to St. Thomas, St. John. I just wanted to ask you, what was the name of the program that you said was available to fishermen? Is that
Farmers and Fishermen's Loan Program at the Economic Development Bank. That's available. There's a whole ton of borrowing money available. The State Small Business Credit Initiative. We got $63 million, and what that does is if you want to go to the bank for a loan, you don't have the collateral, the EDA steps in and does 30% of the loan. they could do up to 80% of the loan. I think, we don't talk about the good news enough. We need to talk about all the things that are becoming available. We made another $5 million available for Catalyst Fund. There's going to be at least another $30 million that's going to come available to borrow at low interest through the CDBG. And Carl, I don't know if we put any loan programs in ARPA, but we're going to be doing other, like that incentive innovation program. That's only like one program we've done. We're going to try to do other things to incentivize businesses and help businesses survive. So St. Croix have agriculture, off-road, we have land for horses, equestrian. We're doing a lot of stuff around that. The racetrack that we're trying to get up, we're doing some projects with them. We have an equestrian program at the prison for rehabbing prisoners to come out of prison. And then we have a youth equestrian program that we're bringing up here in St. Croix as well, too. So off-roading is huge in St. Croix as well. We get the land for biking. There's just so much opportunity here, and I personally want to see it happen. So, we're open to your ideas on how you get in business. I think Monique Samuel at EDA is the one you would contact for fishers and farmers. They're in Frederickstead. We lost some restaurants during COVID, so we want to see some more eateries come about too. If you have ideas around how do we help support those issues, and yes, we're going to fix WAPA and the light bill going to come low. I know that's an issue. It's going to stay on too. I didn't want to take over your thing, David, but I can't help myself.
But you're doing the perfect segue into the next discussion.
Morning, Governor. Cicely Lawrence. I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, and I have a mobile bar on wheels. So as you said, you have monies for different things. What about for businesses that have bars, restaurants, mobiles? What are you doing for them in this industry when we have a slow season? So the customers ain't coming in. What can we do to keep our business and keep it afloat, or inject funds so that the businesses stay up par and employees can be paid, even though there's a slow season situation happening in the territory?
So what happened during COVID, I remember this is very, very different times. We have a good bit amount of money to do business incentivizing. I actually dedicated $1 million to just education so we could just give the kids tours for free. We just pay the tour operators and taxi drivers, everybody, because you guys, we didn't have any tourists. But then as soon as I do it, boom, all of a sudden we were open and we had so much tourists we didn't know what to do. Then we had an actual plan to do incentive for, because I don't know if you realize, but all the lunch restaurants closed down because everybody was at home. So we thought about a program where we would give you free lunches at the restaurant. But while these ideas are good, they're incredibly difficult to run, because now you got to get somebody to run this, validate that these people have the vouchers, the restaurants have to get involved, you got to be able to get their books and prove that they're using the money in the right way, you got to audit. So it just takes a lot of work to do that. But we listen to your ideas, but like I said, that's why we gave the incentive program to the SBDC, because then we didn't have to deal with it. So if you have ideas, there are things that we could do. We've had good off seasons in tourism. Commissioner Bushelty, you could back for that. I mean, I just came off. I landed in St. Thomas where the plane was full. Every time I come to St. Croix, the plane full, and it's not cruise flying on the plane. So that's good. But we're looking for ways to extend the season. So our motto is extend the day, make people stay out longer, extend the stay, convert cruise ship passengers to long night, overnight passengers, and extend the spend. Try to get people to spend as much money. So we need to work together. You ever been to Disneyland? Any of you? Like when you leave Disneyland, you felt like they held you by your ankles and shake every dime out of you? But you're happy when you leave. You're like, they know how to get money out of your pockets. That's how we need to be as a tourism economy. That's the vision. Like, we need to make sure that if they buy something in your store, you make sure you tell them, don't forget to stop by Mike's store. You could get this T-shirt here. So by the time they get out to the pier, every single dollar they have is in St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John. One more question. She's like, me? Oh, morning. I'll repeat it. Ask your question.
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm with Pretty Gal VI as a natural hairstylist. One of the questions I have is, I've moved back home and I do hair. One of the main things that I have a difficult is licensing. The portal, the system that you guys we're working on is very hard for us to get our licensing. And one of the other questions that I have, St. Croix, other islands offer when tourists come off the boat, they have hairdressers doing the hair, putting beads, doing different stuff. We don't have that. Why we don't offer that? And it's difficult for us hairstylists to what requirements we need in order for us to be able to, provide that service and licensing part to get, processed a little bit faster.
Yeah, I don't know why Evangelista isn't here today. Why we didn't invite him to this. He should have been here. Oh, that's right. He is still. That's why he's not here. But that business licensing portal is not designed for licensing like hairdressers, electricians, and stuff. So I'll have that conversation with him. I don't know if you know in St. Croix, but we bought new kiosks for the entire vendors plaza. So those old tent city used to St. Thomas, that will be gone in a couple of weeks, months coming up. So it'll be these nice, colorful kiosks. Ricky, Commissioner Evangelista, in his ultimate wisdom, bought some extra ones. So we're going to see how we could deploy them in St. Croix so we could offer stuff like hairdressing and other vendors being able to sell the alarm. Because there's a huge opportunity, I think, not only close to the port on each side, more so on the Frederickstead Beach side, but also walking down past the fish market. All that stuff is going to get repaired, so there's opportunity there too, and I will speak to him. One of my staffers could get your number and stuff to help you out. The insurance is for the dock, not sports parks and recreation. I always get confused. The dock belongs to the Port Authority. Sports Park owns the beach and the Frederickstead Park, right? I don't think DPNR have any. And then agriculture own the fish market or something like that ago. It's just really weird. But we'll get it together. Thank you.
Good
Sorry,
morning,
David.
Governor. I have a question for you. I noticed everybody in the room, the air went out of their body when they talk about insurance. These businesses, they can't do waivers for their businesses so that they can make sure, because, we're a little island and we want to survive. But if we have people coming and suing like crazy, we have to do something to protect the businesses. So a waiver at your business should be able to help you.
Tort reform in the Virgin Islands is a bad word. We have a very litigious society. We like to sue one another. Certainly the Port Authority could always waive. It's not the best thing to do because it really is, the attorney sues the person who got the most money. Even in the government, we have limited liabilities, and there are ways we could do that. But Royal Caribbean, certainly, deep pockets, deeper than the key letter ship. So, so they're not going to do that. They have to protect their business, and rightfully so. But we can have a conversation with the Lieutenant Governor about how the government can help subsidize or support the insurance or bring different insurance options to the Virgin Islands so you could participate.
Okay. Can we come back to other
yeah,
questions
that's my fault.
What's that? No, we'll come in part two. Okay, so what we wanted to do now is to give you some tools in terms of entrepreneurial skills that you can use in developing these great new business concepts. So today, the chair of the University of the Virgin Islands School of Business is going to, Dr. Kendra Harris, is going to present us with some tools.
So let's see what button works for me. I guess we're the same height, David. Good morning, everyone. I'm bringing greetings to everyone here in the room and also to those who are joining us virtually. We are pleased that you are here. As David said, I'm Kendra Harris. I'm the Dean of the Business School here at the University of the Virgin Islands. And my purpose for this portion of the forum is to talk a little bit about the business perspective of all of this and kind of grounding this in business, and also to plant some seeds of thoughts for you for what you can do. Before I proceed, I would like to give special recognition to two individuals who contributed to this presentation. One is Dr. Jim Story, who is our hospitality and management professor here on St. Croix, and the other individual is Dr. Tim Faley, who is our distinguished professor of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to start off with a couple of cruise factoids. And some of this you've heard before. So you heard Royal Caribbean say that their passengers spend $165 in the Virgin Islands. Well, one of the statistics on the bigger number is that passengers on average spend a total of $750 when they're in port. So one of the things I want you to think about is, if traditionally they've been spending $165, but here in the territory, but overall, in their overall experience, they're spending $750, go after that difference and try to get all of the money spent here. There are an average of about 2,100 passengers on the ship. I think I heard Royal Caribbean say the ship that's coming here is going to have about 4,000 passengers. Was that about right? So that's twice the passengers of the average cruise ship. So again, I want you to think about the fact that you want to get a hold of those dollars. You've heard conversation about the repeat business of cruises. Well, 6 in 10 passengers who have cruised return to a port that they've been to before. Of the reviews of passengers who have specifically visited Frederiksted, there were some highlights that I want to point out. They really enjoyed the snorkeling, they enjoyed Buck Island, they enjoyed the beaches, and they enjoyed the hotels. But what were some of the areas of improvement? And we've heard a little bit about that. Stores not being open, the cleanliness of the town, limitations on options of things to do. Now, I want to get your attention for a second, because the research I did when I was working on my doctoral degree was on satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And what people don't recognize is that as a business, when you have a customer who has had a problem and you solve that problem, you often put yourself ahead of if they've never had a problem in the first place. So let me ground that in something we can all probably understand. How many of you are married or have ever been married? Yes, no, maybe so. How many of you have girlfriends, or 2 or 3 or 4? Boyfriends, partners? When you have had a problem with that mate, and then you recommended the solution to that problem, and they listened and acted on that solution to the problem you had with them, how did that make you feel? I'm seeing and hearing thumbs up, yeah. Well, translate that into business. When a customer has articulated a concern, a problem, and you solve that problem, you have a friend for life. So I want us to view these challenges, areas of improvement, as truly opportunities to really make business bigger and better. So what does that mean for your business? And I don't want to sidestep the comments and conversation I've heard about the challenges with registering, the challenges with insurance. I hear you. At the moment, though, I want to focus on some of the things that are going to assume that what happens when you assume, but going to assume that we're going to resolve these challenges. So what does it mean for you to take advantage of some of these business opportunities? Customer discovery. Think about what customers really want. This room is full of individuals who have established businesses and tried and true opportunities for cruise passengers, and there are others of you who have businesses that are up and coming and getting established. The theme here is, irrespective of where you fall on that line, whether you're very, very established or just getting started, the message here is there's opportunity for everyone. We're saying in spades, you are a unique individual. What is it that you can do to bring something special and different as a product or an experience for individuals who will be coming off of those ships? Ideate, create ideas and solutions regarding those customer needs. Think about what it would take for you and your uniqueness to create the solution to those issues. And what can your company do to make those solutions come to life? Think about the competition that you might be up against, how feasible it is. Think about your skills and resources. Royal Caribbean had a slide that talked about whether or not you have a great dispatch system, communication between the potential customer and your organization. They talked about whether or not you have a great customer service record and practice. Those things are important. And finally, what financial resources do you need in order to launch or to grow? I want to take a second to ensure that irrespective of what you're doing, you're always thinking about being customer focused, because that's where you need to be in order to get your maximum return. No matter what you're doing, think about the customer. Think about every touch point they have. That is, think about every experience they have from the minute they get off the ship until the time they get back on. How are they greeted at the dock? What is the cleanliness levels that was spoken about, right? All of those things, you can have the best business there is, but if those things aren't taken care of, it all contributes to the overall picture. Again, what activities or options can you offer that are unique, and how will you get the information about those options to the customers? Think about also ongoing issues. Irrespective of what you think about COVID, whether it's real, whether it's not real, we're not going to get into that. The point becomes, of 4,000 people getting off of that ship, somebody thinks COVID still exists, or somebody's being protective of that. And you, as a service provider, need to be conscientious of that and ensure that as part of your experience, you are respecting that position that that particular customer has. So again, the theme is innovate, create new experiences. Think of experiences that cater to smaller groups, and join forces with another service provider if need be to get what it is you want to offer. This is a key area that David really wanted me to focus on, and that was how you prepare your business for benefiting from these business opportunities. This forum, in part, number 5, in part, is based in some of the lessons we learned when business individuals were trying to benefit from the stimulus that was provided by the federal government because of COVID. We all remember when the world was shuttered. Yes, everybody was locked inside, no one was going anywhere, right? It's hard for you to run your business when nobody's moving about. And so there was stimulus money that was made available for businesses. What we found was many businesses who had been running in their normal fashion could not benefit from that stimulus, from those stimulus funds. And this was largely due to the fact that they weren't licensed, they had not necessarily kept books, they had not necessarily kept records. What you've heard here today is partnering with Royal Caribbean, speaking with the government, about how they can help us in doing what needs to be done. If you're not a registered business, or you can't produce the records and the tax records and the revenue records and the business records that show you've been in operation or show a business plan or show some legitimacy, you knock yourself out of being available to receive some of those benefits. So one of the key points I was tasked with driving home is be sure to cover your bases in engaging in sound business practices. If the governor comes up with another bonus or incentive for individuals to be in business, there's going to need to be some sort of legitimate record, plan, something that indicates that the business exists. And without that, it's really kind of hard to provide assistance. So help us help you. One of the things that that Commissioner Busciotti brought up as well was your presence and people communicating with you. Make sure you have some sort of way for people to know you exist. That's generally through a web presence. Many people are on social media. They go to social media before they go to anything else to figure out what's going on. So if those things are intact and in place for you, you have a leg up in that regard. As far as the tools go with respect to the University of the Virgin Islands, you may or may not recognize that, yes, we have obviously degree programs, but we also have programs for individuals who want to build their toolkit but don't necessarily want a degree. And those opportunities come out of CEL, which stands for Center for Excellence in Leadership and Learning. So CEL, the Center for Excellence in Leadership and Learning at the University of the Virgin Islands, is the arm of the university that caters to individuals who, again, want additional knowledge, but not necessarily through a degree. So sample courses, and some of these are offered online, that are available are customer service fundamentals, accounting fundamentals, accounting and finance for non-financial managers. And here you have the contact information for them. The Small Business Development Center is also out of the school, out of the university, housed in the School of Business. It offers free, I can't emphasize enough, free consultation to businesses. So if you're feeling like, well, I don't know where to get started with any of this, I just run my business, I don't worry about that stuff, go talk to someone at the Small Business Development Center, because they're there to provide free consultation, and they too offer training on a variety of subjects related to business. If you're interested in a degree, the School of Business offers these degree offerings. Finally, in closing, the things to remember. Is that my hook to... Cruise passengers spend money in port. Put customers first. Identify innovative experiences for cruise visitors to St. Croix. And finally, please, please, please prepare your company for benefiting from the increased business opportunities by ensuring that you are engaging in sound business practices. Thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, we're now going to segue into the next topic, the last one, and this is, we're going to have a short vignette about food. what St. Croix has to offer in a sampling of one business.
Hi, I am Shonda Smith, and I'm the owner of
My name
Sweet
is
Bites Cake Shop,
Sweeney
located in
John
Frederiksted.
Toussaint
Sweet Bites
Jr.,
was established
and I'm the
in
operator
2009,
of
and
St.
we have
Croix
been brick and
Safari
mortar since
Party on the island of
2014. So
I
my
worked
products.
as manager for the both Grapetree Bay and what was then the Grapetree Beach Hotel for about 15 years. So my background is hospitality industry. So I put history plans together, and I decided at one point, hey Sweeney, the hotel would never be yours, and it's time to start your own business. But what? In talking to some friends on a convention off island, it was realized that the island was lacking a destination management company, a company that provided all types of ground service to the visitor. And I started that, I quit and started a destination management company with transportation, sightseeing tours at the core of that business. Highlights of the tour, St. George Village Botanical Garden stands out. It is a 17-acre site that used to be a former Danish plantation, where you'd find ruins of the rum factory, that you will discover plants and flora that is grown here in the Caribbean as a whole. And we walk around, I have an opportunity then to interact with them, to find out what they like on St. Croix, how are they enjoying their stay, what hotel they're in, and I offer all kinds of information. The prospect of having more cruise ship passengers is highly desirable. I feel good about it. It is long overdue, but my concern is, will we be able to contain it? Would we be able to make sure, by the services provided from all on St. Croix, would we ensure that we were happy to see them come, but we are happier when they leave? What am I looking for the next tourism season? I'm expecting an increase in business, especially over the last 2 years and 2.5 years. It has been uphill all the way for the entire hospitality, the business persons on this island, to include store owners and restaurants and everyone else. I am looking forward that as we are told that many more will be arriving and coming here, that we have the ability, the capability to send them home, return home again, happier when they leave than when they come. And there are many, many, many facets of the industry that we have to look at. We have to look beyond, transportation for passengers coming. We have to look at the type of service when they go into a gift shop, when they go into a restaurant, when they want to use a bathroom. We want to be big on the small things that makes a big difference. That's what people are looking for. They already know what they can expect, but you want to send them away with good feelings with what they didn't expect. And that will be the highlight. So you always have to be forward thinking.
So this next presentation is going to bring together elements of the overnight guest and expectations that can be derived from hotel guests, with the foodie options that Royal Caribbean referenced are one of the items that guests look for. So I asked Lisa Hamilton, who is the
president of the Hotel and Tourism Association, and Joanne Edney of the Christiansted Retail and Restaurant Association to come forward and give us a taste of what we can learn from both of these organizations.
Good morning, Governor, members of Royal Caribbean. Good morning to the St. Croix community. Christian Massacart of IB Designs was scheduled to speak this morning. She's a 25-year business owner in Christiansted, but she's under the weather, so here I am. I not only hold 3 hats, I'm the president of the Christiansted Restaurant and Retail Association. I'm also special assistant to the governor and a 7-year business owner in Christiansted. I am happy to be standing here celebrating all things fabulous about St. Croix. Christiansted businesses are very excited to partner with Royal Caribbean and to collaborate with the Department of Tourism to offer cruise ship guests the best experience possible. We as business owners constantly hear visitors new to St. Croix express how happy they are to discover our island. They love how different we are and that we have held on to our authentic island feel. This feel can be explored in our historic town through our food culture and dining experiences. Our town has an abundance of eateries. We have fabulous vegan and vegetarian restaurants that source from local farmers and offer such delicacies as vegan saltfish over baked plantain. We have coffee shops and bakeries serving up guava tarts, coconut drops, butter bread, and serving locally roasted coffee. And we also boast 6 waterfront restaurants on our boardwalk, sharing local fresh catch, Mexican, pizza, and local fare. While dining on the boardwalk, you can enjoy our local charters, busy carrying passengers to a treasured Buck Island, and witness the seaplane landing hourly, which makes for an entertaining lunchtime. For truly local taste, we have Sings and Zennies for all things Caribbean, such as roti, doubles, provision, and curry chicken. For a unique experience, our visitors can go on a guided food tour with our very own Cruisian foodie to sample St. Croix flavors and learn a bit of history about Christiansted. To make sure we have the libations covered, world recognized and distilled on St. Croix, Mutiny Island Vodka has a tasting room with their breadfruit vodka on the boardwalk and often produce small batch vodkas with seasoned local fruits. Visitors can also taste our locally brewed leatherback beer in many of our restaurants. Sounds like there's lots of fabulous eating and drinking to do in our town. What I think sets us apart from most cruise ship stops is our high concentration of handcrafted jewelry stores and art studios. We have 9 jewelry studios where the jewelry is made on site and have helped grow and celebrate our bracelet culture. We are home to the world-famous hook, which people seek as they hit our shores. In addition to top quality luxury jewelry, we're a town filled with art galleries and small gift shops. We are a town of creators and budding entrepreneurs also. In addition to shopping and dining, visitors to our town enjoy soaking up the architecture and visiting our historic churches. We boast a national park, historic Olympic Park, and a short ferry ride to the beautiful beach at Hotel on the Key. All of this sounds like the perfect excursion: shopping, eating, beaching in 3 to 4 hours, and a nice taste of the town of Christiansted. I'll wrap it up by sharing that since April of 2020, Christiansted has seen the opening of 9 new restaurants, 12 new retail stores, and over 12 plus newly signed leases. This is resiliency, this is community, this is St. Croix. The Christiansted restaurant and retail businesses are excited to share our town and all of its offerings. We know those that discover us will want to return and explore more of our beautiful St. Croix gem. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I don't think it's afternoon yet, is it? No, okay. And the last speaker, I know you're thrilled. I will try to be brief. I'm Lisa Hamilton, the Executive Director for the St. Croix Hotel and Tourism Association. I would like to thank Governor Bryan, Michael Bourne, Commissioner Busholti, and Royal Caribbean for inviting the Hotel and Tourism Association to present here this morning. A little bit about us. We have 17 hotel and villa accommodations as members and 35 allied members, the tourism-facing businesses, which are ones that are really stand to benefit from the cruise ships coming in. Those members that are directly related to benefiting the cruise ship passengers are car rental companies, charter boats, dive boats, jewelry stores, as mentioned, that make local jewelry. We'll have to do a shout out here for IB Designs and Crucian Gold, just saying. We've got the zip line. We have golf, casinos, rum distilleries, vodka distilleries, breweries, a shout out again, Leatherback, love that beer. There's a lot of businesses that are part of our organizations that stand to benefit from the cruise ship coming here, and I think it's important that we expand our experiential opportunities with them, not just expect them to come to the restaurant or just to come to play golf. We need to play on the strengths of our local talent and our culture. We have artists, painters, basket makers, jewelry makers, and as mentioned with Sweet Bites, culinary. I mean, is St. Croix not the capital of culinary for the USVI? So many opportunities there to share. From the Hotel Association perspective, we love the cruise ships because, as was stated earlier, you know, you bring them in. I know that the Department of Tourism does spend some money on marketing it, but from the hotel's perspective, you bring these guests in, they come and have an experience, and they come back and stay. So that's fantastic revenue that just keeps trickling down, as was mentioned earlier, and is very important to us. It was shared with me that a couple of years ago, when the cruise ships pulled out of St. Croix for a couple of years, that there was a noticeable drop between 10 and 20% in occupancy in the summer season for those hotel guests. So they're coming here in the winter on a cruise ship and then said, hey, we can come back in the summertime when maybe it's a little bit more affordable. So, you know, there is a direct correlation between the successes of our hotels and the cruise ship industry coming in here. And we do spend a fair amount of our time promoting the destination. Our president, as a matter of fact, Suzanne Rosbach, is on the road right now at a dive show in Colorado. And she went to 7 different cities since January through the adventure shows promoting it. And we all know right now that airfare is skyrocketed. So she actually has people who are booking a cruise because the cruise ship is more affordable, less expensive than the flight to come down here to go diving with us. So I know it's not ideal. We like them all in parity, but this is just a prime example of how it's all of we and how we have to work together, and everybody coming together can benefit from all of this. So the opportunities that we see here for our restaurants offer those culinary classes. I just got off a cruise ship, and it was in Mexico, and they said, you know, hey, go learn how to make our world famous guacamole. And it wasn't even a massive production to go to that restaurant, but it was unique, and he gave his mother's recipe. And then we went over and did a little tequila tasting, and the effort that they had to put in to provide that experience was minimal, and I'm still here talking about it, and it was great. So it doesn't always have to be this huge, big thing. If you just take what you have genuinely, and the woman with Sweet Bites, I want to go see her. I want her to do a culinary tasting for me. I mean, I could listen to her all day long. We're talking with the hotels that have golf courses to see if they would be interested in offering some sort of packages. We know that the casino is not on when it's in port. What a fantastic opportunity for those people that really like to gamble. Let's bring them on over to the casinos and give them an opportunity. We also have 3 hotels now that are working on, and some of you've already talked to them, on the day passes for the hotels, where there's a per person charge, and for that it includes beach chairs, umbrellas, showers, bathrooms, pool, beach service. So we want to engage all of our hotels in that opportunity because, you know, from a transportation standpoint, bringing them there and having them experience the dining and everything that it has to offer can help offset that, because as you heard, there's 4,000 people, so there's enough to go around. And I leave you with, let's go get that 20 million. I mean, that was the number that stuck in my head from the beginning. There's a lot of opportunities. There's programs that have been presented to us by the government. Let's all get together and figure out how we can maximize this fantastic opportunity. Thank you.
Sweet Bites was established in 2009, and we have been brick and mortar since 2014. So my products are made from scratch. It is freshly made. Everything we do is crafted from heirloom recipes from my mom, from my grandparents. I incorporate a lot of that into my recipes. Not only do I make products that are just traditional to St. Croix, but I actually make products that is traditional to the Caribbean, like cassava pone and tolom and sugar cake. Sugar cake is something that is traditional to, St. Croix, but it's also, a Caribbean product as well. I just love doing things that is, I can take a fruit, I can take a product, and, I can make something with it, that it's not going to waste, I think that's just one thing that I like about knowing that I can use products from the farm. I can go out in my father's, land and see what's there, see what's growing on the tree, and just pick it up and come to the store and find something to do with it, find something to make with it. Okay, so the local ingredients that I use in my products, say for instance our traditional Vienna cake, I make all my fillings and preserves, and some of those is guava berry, which is a local and almost very scarce product to find. And we also do green gage, which is like a lime preserve, and that's indigenous to the actual Vienna cake fillings and flavors that is used. Other fruits that we use is mango tart. We use mangoes. We do local eggs, like our farms chicken eggs and other eggs that we use. We also use carambola. We use passion fruit. We use our avocados for our ice creams. There's many other different flavors. Guava, we use a lot of guava for our products, making guava tart. My dad does a lot of pineapples. We grow a lot of pineapples, local pineapples, and we use that for our pineapple tarts as well. Also in our Vienna cake, we do pineapple filling as well. So I am looking forward to the tourism season that is upcoming. I am very excited about the extra protocols that are coming into St. Croix. Super excited about that, as we are just a street over from the dock. Frederickson is just filled with a lot of love. It's filled with a lot of love. It's filled with a lot of community support and help. It ties in a lot to our heritage and traditions. We do have so many functions that happen in Frederickstead because of, how we are culturally connected. With our Crucian Christmas Festival happens here on the western side. It's just a fun place to be. I love Frederickstead. It's my home. So whenever you're in Frederickstead, whether you came by cruise ship or locally, don't forget to stop by Sweet Bites. We are at 314 King Street, suite number 1. Check us out.
So isn't that the way to end this forum? I think Sweeney lays it out for all of us, all the things we've been talking about, all the questions we raised. Those are the things that we need to now bring ourselves together to prepare to welcome our visitors and to give them a bang-up Crucian experience. Okay, so the last Q&A, wait, I think we had somebody over here, right? Is it, ma'am, you? Yeah.
Thank you. LaVon Wise from the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. The governor dropped the U word earlier today, Uber's coming. What does that look like? I know we do have some transportation challenges.
Uber Soca.
Uber Soca,
Uber
what's that?
Soca. Not Uber.
Oh.
You really want me to get some blows from the taxi them? I knew when I said that too, it was going to be an Uber Soca. The Soca cruise is coming to St. Croix. It's coming to St. Thomas next year, and then the following year to St. Croix.
I'm disappointed. Okay.
Uber Soca. I don't want to hear it on the radio. Come on and say Uber coming.
No hopes for Uber coming. We do have some transportation challenges as far as getting people around the island.
Yep.
I want to speak to that, right? So, like, we have this big fight. I shouldn't call it a fight. It's a discussion. We work with Senator Javon James, and we propose that the taxi commission run a ride-share program for cars, like 4 or 5 passenger cars, because we don't have a car transportation program. The taxi commission didn't like it. The senators didn't like it. We didn't do anything. Ride-share coming, whether we like it or not. We have to figure out a way to deal with it. Just like in St. Thomas, for years, everybody ignored the water taxi, and it's here. So what I want to see is the current taxi drivers benefit from it. So I would suggest you get with Senator Javon James on whether the taxi, because you're going to make more money, especially in St. Croix, you're going to make more money because a lot more cars are you going to get, because people want to move around. People want to go out and drink in the night. They want to go to restaurants. They don't want to drive. They don't want to drive on the left, and I don't want them driving on the right. So we just need to have a discussion with, Senator James had put together, we work with a couple of people, and it would be owned by the taxi drivers, the taxi association, or the taxi commission. The taxi commission said they don't want to be a regulatory authority and run it. So that was an issue. But we need to figure out something, because eventually somebody's going to usurp the law, and they're going to get it in. I just want to point your attention to our Commissioner White in the back of the room, who has joined us. A lot of those assets in Frederickstead belong to him. He's been doing an awesome job there. And I also want to, I remember one time we had a cabinet meeting when I worked for John DeYoung, and this lady was in there telling him how good the commissioners are. He said, I don't want to hear how good they is. They weren't good, they wouldn't be here. I know they're good. But I do want to recognize Joe Bushalty, because he has done an awesome job with tourism, and he doesn't get enough credit because, we really number one in the Caribbean. Last year, year before, when everybody else was scrunting, we're doing well. And really right now, I know some of you have airlift questions. A lot of that is just because globally we don't have enough pilots. We didn't even have enough pilots to get you from St. Thomas to St. Croix. When you go to the other one, you got to plan to stay, because you can't get a flight back. And if you miss your flight, that's it for another 2 days. So those are not Virgin Islands problems. Those are global problems. So we need to get some pilots going and whatnot. I think that's all about that I wanted to mention. But we continue to invest. I get to close out. We continue to invest in our tourism product.
Governor,
they got lots of questions.
Let's do some questions and then we finish. The gentleman in the far back.
Go ahead. Pleasant good morning, everyone. My name is Ramon Reed, and I'm the owner of Cultured Naturals Body Care. I have a green beauty and wellness business that is based in Christiansted, St. Croix. The space I am standing in appeals quite a bit to wellness tourists. With the advent of COVID and all the other happenings, it's evaluated that in 2020, persons spent upwards to $638 billion for wellness. People are taking these ships because they want to feel better, they want to self-care. Separate and apart from that, in 2028, it's projected that they will be spending approximately $1 trillion. I create 60 different types of products that are manufactured locally here in St. Croix. I work with my local farmers. We believe in sustainability and definitely pouring back into our local economy. I'm appealing to those customers that are disembarking from the ship, but also I appeal to those that are on the ship that may not want to get off. And I know that Royal Caribbean and all these great cruise ships have stores. How is it that my products could also have a presence representing the Virgin Islands, the Caribbean Basin, and the local great high-quality products that we produce in your stores? Thank you. The question is for Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, we get this question quite often. Our retail space on our cruise ships, and it's not just Royal Caribbean, I think any major brand works with the same company. It's a third-party vendor called Starboard. Starboard is the vendor that actually goes out and then vets and finds the products that are on board our ship. They do a lot of research and to determine which products works, which products sell, etc. So it's a company called Starboard, and I'm happy to provide you with the information, but they actually own that space on our ships. So we can't tell them what they need to sell. I mean, we do have our logo merchandise in their shops, but everything else is, again, determined by them based on the data that they collect for over many, many years. We've been partnered with them for quite some time.
Thank you so much, and I'd love to get that information.
Absolutely.
Okay. The gentleman in the far back, I think did you have a question? No? Okay.
Good day to everyone, the governor. My name is Jennifer Paris, and I am the owner of several businesses on the island here in St. Croix. Most people in here would know me because I started off actually doing a lot of vending. We used to call us vendors. Whenever the community would put together activity, maybe like jump up, or we go to the streets where we have entertainment, you would see myself selling some of the products of toys, my creative t-shirts from the island, and not only me, it runs all in my family, where we would be vending different products. Now, I just want to speak about my store because I've been able to accomplish a business today on the island in the middle of Strawberry. Strawberry is where I started off as a VI store where I would sell VI products. You could come and get your VI t-shirts, your VI, everything from the VI. It expanded, and it expanded into a school store, a Dickies store, where most of the government agencies here would buy from my store the Dickies for their government offices. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this is because it was a business where I individually started, and the people of St. Croix supported me 100%. Now, today, I incorporate my business to a barber shop where I think will benefit the tourist. When the tourist comes to the island, I had in mind when I heard this advertisement, I said, hey, this might be a good one for me because they can make a stop and visit the store, visit the barber shop, and not only that, I now have a restaurant, a roti restaurant, where I sell rotis, I sell doubles, I sell tamarind drink. In fact, I did work with one of my flyers showing where I don't only do VI, I incorporate shirts from St. Lucia, Antigua, and different places. Now, if I'm to stand here and talk, I know I will talk too long. So my question is, I would need some help because I have government officials sometimes who drive in, and I was into the place where we would need a little something to fix the little area, you know, where people can drive in and feel comfortable when they are there to do their shopping. Now, I have applied for certain monies, and I am so disappointed that nothing was sent to Paristes and Novelties. I did all the paperwork. I waited and I waited. And I would like to know now that if when the next set is to come out, what am I doing wrong? And then I did not get a respond. All I found out was that if you don't get a phone call, you're not on the list. No explanation, no nothing in my email. I'm checking. And you know, I'm saying here that we as small business people, we only need a little incentive, a little help, you know, so that we can carry on and do the best for the island of St. Croix. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, please remember that it was a competitive program in which there was very aggressively, there were a lot of applicants, and so I'm sorry that they didn't tell you why you may not have made it, but there were only, I think there were 1,000 respondees and only 400 awards. So I
don't want to say only 400 because there's never a grant program where 40% of the people get awarded. So first I want to apologize, not on my behalf, but on the SBDC, because the way that they alerted people of the grant was less than acceptable. The way that they just said that. So they are sending out a formal letter informing people of the grant and why it was. So a lot of, from the people that came to me, because you know how the Virgin Islands is, Gov, I apply for that, I want to hook up. Just tell them, give me my 50,000 and I good, you know. If I could tell you how much of those I had. And that's why I made sure that I had nothing to do with who was awarded. And just because we're in a public forum, I want to tell you, most people who didn't win applied for the grant saying they were having difficulty in their business. The grant was not to help people out who were having difficulty in their business. It was for people who wanted to do something innovative with their business. So, for instance, I don't know if this guy applied, but this is a good example. It was in St. Thomas, and one guy said when the cruise ship stopped coming, he realized that he was out of a job because he was a taxi driver. So what he did is he got an Instagram page, he got a Facebook page, and a Twitter. He got some new cards. He noticed people were coming to the island and they wanted to hang out, but there wasn't a lot of places to go because of the COVID. He turned his bus into a party bus. He got a new sound system, and he did a lot of marketing around the hotels in order to get that going. So under the innovation grant, that's innovative. That's how his business responded. If you were a deli and you created your own delivery system or your own way to contact customers or reach out and deliver to homes, that's innovative. Saying that you can't pay your rent is very important, but it's not innovative. That's the normal course of your business. Buying a new bus is not, in a taxi driver situation, that's not innovative. That's something that you have to do. If you're a taxi driver, you're going to have to buy a new bus. So those are the kind of things. So there'll be some other opportunities and different things out. Like I said, you know, it's not normal that people grant businesses. This is free money. You didn't have to do anything else except ideate and be creative to get it. So I think people may have gotten a wrong idea, like you just write in for $50,000 and you get it. But where in the world does that happen? You know, so everybody didn't get $50,000. Some people got less than they asked for, but those 400 people got a taste. So what the SBDC promised to do was they give some education around what an innovation grant looked like, and we're going to have another issuance, and another 400 people mad at me because they didn't get a grant. But we're trying to figure out ways to put money in the community as quickly as possible. So I think it's a great idea. It wasn't my idea, it was Sana's idea. Sana Smith, she's my one of my business advisors, fantastic idea to give away $4 million. And I thought it was brilliant, but no good deed goes unpunished. So no matter what you do, they're going to be unhappy people. I hope that answers your question. And so there'll be more opportunities to get incentives and whatnot.
Okay, thank you, Governor. We're going to take one last question.
Good morning. Thank you. I actually came back so I could ask my question. My name is Quayne Bartlett. I am a licensed behavioral health consultant, business and management consultant, mediator, security analyst. I'm also, certified in disaster mental health counseling, certified in nonviolent crisis intervention, and a nationally certified mental health technician. So my question is my business is VIBES, Violence Intervention, Behavioral Health Emergency, and Security Solutions. My question is for both our government, tourism, our governor, and Royal Caribbean. Have you all thought about doing sober cruises? Because in the last 2 years, substance abuse between the ages of 18 and 30 went up 25%. St. Croix is a perfect place to open a rehabilitation facility for substance use, and it's $1 billion industry. We have the infrastructure, we have the land, we have the personnel. Like myself, I'm 28 years old. We are young, and we're willing to work. So have you all thought about doing these sober cruises and St. Croix being your destination where you drop these patients off and then they get back on your ship and then you take them back to America, nice, clean, sober, and rehabilitated?
Interesting. Do you want to respond, Royal?
It's an idea.
I think it's a wonderful idea. It is innovative, and I think that's something we can put in the cook pot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a niche market. And as you said, innovative. I can't say that it's something that Royal Caribbean has considered, but we're always looking for ways to support our communities, support our destination. So it's something that we may consider if the proposal is brought to the company.
Okay.
And just to add, though, we do actually have programs on board the ships. On every single ship that goes out, we have a session that's called Friends with Bill, and if you're not in AA or have been associated with that program, you probably wouldn't know, but it's on our daily calendar because we do want to support anyone that is in that in that situation or helping to rehabilitate.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've more than exceeded our time, but I think this has been hopefully for...
David, before you go, I want to make this plug. I see everybody leaving, and I think all the senators have left. Cannabis is another huge opportunity for us in St. Croix. Okay? You guys are not going to the legislature and putting pressure on these guys to stop holding up our legislation. Janelle Sarro has been sitting on the cannabis legislation for 2 years. 2 years. Saying she has a piece of legislation. We've waited. She hasn't produced any legislation. We need you to put pressure on the legislature to pass the Adult Use Cannabis Act. They keep talking about the local or the medicinal. If we pass the medicinal, the medicinal doesn't have the protections the adult use has for local people to be the growers. If we get the medicinal up, we're going to lose the whole industry to people from other places. So there's restitution in there for people who have been incarcerated. There's great opportunities. You can't own a dispensary unless you've been a Virgin Islander, a resident of the Virgin Islands for 10 of the last 15 years. The dispensaries can only sell 30% of what they grow, so they have to buy from farmers. Farmers have a chance to participate and put to the industry. I've seen this thing in Colorado. This thing is a cash cow. This is the only industry where they cannot import us to death. If you're going to make a gummy, it has to be made in St. Croix. If you're going to sell flour, it has to be made in St. Croix. If it's oil, it has to be made in St. Croix. Everything has to be made in St. Croix, and guess what? It has to be made in St. Thomas again, and it has to be made in St. John again. This is the biggest opportunity for us. and we're sleeping. And if you don't believe me, download weed maps on your phone. I just have it on my phone by coincidence. Download weed maps on your phone, and you could go to any city, and you will see how many dispensaries pop up in and around. Boston has adult use cannabis, and we in the Virgin Islands, we're in the tourism business, we don't support it. We're going to have 100,000 people come in here, and they can't go back on the ship with it. They're going to throw it in the garbage. That's good. The next day, more of them going to buy more. And when the critics come, tell them, right? We already have a cannabis industry. It's just not regulated. It's safer if we control it, regulate it, and my favorite word, tax it. So we need the pressure on the legislature to get the cannabis legislation done. It's election year. Tell them, if you want my vote, pass cannabis. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We hope this starts the conversation of what we need to do to get ourselves ready. The first ship for Royal Caribbean cruise ship arrives November 2nd. Okay? So get yourselves ready, please. Thank you.
My name is Cynthia George. My husband and I moved here in 2018 after Maria. We're originally from a small town near Knoxville, Tennessee. We've been here 5 years. We purchased the business from a previous owner. Gecko's has been in business since 2009. We do ATV tours through the rainforest. So we take 4 machines, up to 8 people, through the rainforest, give them a little bit of history, a little bit of the Crucian culture, and let them see the island kind of from a vantage point that most people don't ever get to see. We wanted a different pace. We wanted a slower pace. My husband and I were both in sales. So we did some reading about St. Croix, came here to see what was available, and we did an ATV tour, and the lady just happened to be selling her business. You know, like everybody else, everything kind of changed during COVID. So before COVID, it would have been our flying customers that knew St. Croix, had been here before, were looking for new things to do. And now that COVID's happened, I think that a lot of the people that live here in St. Croix, whether they're native or whether they're transplants, they were looking for stuff to do when the tourists were gone and everybody was open, looking for things to do. So we're blessed that we have a good mixture of our locals and our transplants and tourists. So we get a little bit of everybody. Yeah, so the tour starts out here in the middle of Frederiksted. We're a block and a half from the Frederiksted Pier. After the safety briefing and after the guides go over how to work the machines, then we take off and we'll go up past some of our most famous beaches. We go up through the rainforest and we will turn onto trails from there. It takes about 1.5 to 2 hours. And then they'll end here at the office again to where they can walk through town, go right back to the cruise ship. Pretty easy from here, block and a half. So the favorites for the people that have never been to St. Croix are definitely going to be going through the rainforest. Once you get to the edge of the rainforest, it goes from that hot, humid island air, and then that rainforest cool air hits you. So you can turn around and just see everybody start smiling as soon as you hit that line. So getting to see our rainforest, we also take 2 to 3 stops. 2 of them are going to be overlooks, so you get the full vantage point in a 30-second period of time. You're going to see all of the entire island, and it's one of the only places that I know of on the island that you can see everything. When time allows and when their driving ability allows, we also go up to a sugar mill. So we give them a little bit of history on St. Croix sugar cane, how they processed it, when it changed, and then as we drive back down, we actually get to see some sugarcane fields, and we also get to see an old steam sugarcane machine. So we try to add in the fun history, the not so fun history, but the stuff we need to know, and then also all the beauty that St. Croix has to offer. Like I said, we're a block and a half from the cruise ship here, so they can, after they have their breakfast, they can wander straight over to us. We can get them up in the rainforest, they can get back down, and then they still have time to go around to the beaches or into town and shop. So we're also very flexible with our time. With us being a small boutique style business, if the cruise ship comes in super early, we actually shift our times up to where we can get everybody in, or if it's a later port, then we drop ours down. So we're able to be flexible with them because we are a smaller business. I think the biggest thing, we are looking forward to getting more people here that start to see what we've seen for the past 5 years, falling in love with the place, falling in love with the people, the food, even though we've all gained a few pounds. So we're just looking forward to seeing more and more people come in and enjoy their families here and see what a little hidden gem we have.